Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Elbow Nudge Podcast. This is episode 5.
What's up, everybody?
Caroline, how are we doing tonight? How are we feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. Um, just had Thanksgiving is done. It's over. We have passed the middle child holiday, and we're on to everybody except Tony's favorite,
Yes.
Christmas.
We could finally
And
get to the golden child of the year.
the poster child of holidays.
But let's not mislead people. We're not talking Christmas today, but
No, we're
maybe
not.
a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit.
maybe a little bit.
We'll get to that.
Oh, we will. We will.
And I didn't mention it last episode on purpose.
I love it.
But anyways, let's explain what's going on, right? So this episode, I asked Caroline to recommend me a movie that I haven't seen, but she's seen. And I recommended her a movie that I've seen that she hasn't seen. Well, sort of. I think we could give it away at the top. They're going to see the title. I'm going to mention the title.
Absolutely.
So today we'll be talking about Jumanji and True Grit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Which one are we going to cover first?
Um,
What are you in the mood for?
I'm in the mood for Jumanji.
Good. Me too.
Yeah, so when you said like I hadn't seen it sort of, that's alluding to I saw this when I was much younger. It was on Cartoon Network or I said Cartoon Network, but it could have been one of the Cartoon Network Nickelodeon. It was like one of those TVs, like movies for TV, and it was cut like with commercial breaks and stuff. And then I did not remember a lot of the plot. I remember the jungle, like I remember the house becoming a jungle, and then I remembered Robin Williams looking like a jungle man, and that was it. Like that was all I
All
remember
right. That's
about the
awesome.
plot. Yeah. So today I was finally able to, and then not only that, but there's another podcast I listened to, and they were like for a while during quarantine they were doing the podcast via Zoom, and one of the cast members had been turning his room like episode by episode. His room was slowly becoming the jungle room from Jumanji, or like it was jungle themed, and every episode it would be more and more jungle themed, and he would look more and more like Robin Williams, and everybody was like, "Are you making a Jumanji reference?" And every time I would see that, I would think to myself, I really need to watch Jumanji. Like just for the same reason. I saw it when I was young. I don't remember it. I want to see it now and finally soak it all in. No commercial breaks, no small child brain. I want to see it. And I never got around to it. And so then today, when you texted me, like, this is what we're going to do, and this is your movie, I was like, oh, finally. Like, this is what I needed. I needed a reason to just sit down and watch this movie. And I'm really glad I was able to.
Perfect. So just be real quick before I hear what you thought of the movie. I'm going to say I recommended it to you because I think it is a fantastic movie. I think it's a classic. And I think it has a lot of heart. And when I watch it, I saw it recently, I think within the last week. I just knew you had to watch it too. Like, I needed you to watch this, whether you like it or not. It's good. It's good. But
First, you know your audience because it ended with a Christmas party, like just cut to the spoiler kind of thing. But like
that's where you're jumping to, right?
it's not really
Christmas?
it's not really a spoiler, but like it ends with a Christmas
Well, we're
season.
spoiling it for sure.
Yeah. But I was already like, he knows. But yeah, this is first. So also yesterday I did like a little marathon. I watched 2 movies with my mom and Davey, and we saw Home Sweet Home Alone, and none of us liked it at all. We were cringing, we were bored, we were criticizing it, and it left us with a really bad taste in our mouth. So then we started watching Home Alone. We were like, "No, we got to watch the
We have to
classic.
redeem this day.
We have to wash our mouths of this terrible taste." And
Why would you? I mean, you knew going in it was going to be bad.
honestly, I don't go in thinking it's going to be bad. Even when I saw the trailer, I didn't think this was going to be absolutely
But for Home
terrible.
Sweet Home Alone, you didn't think it was going to be bad.
I don't go in thinking a movie's gonna suck unless it's like I'm trying to think of a movie like
You don't watch a DC movie and think, all right, here we go.
I mean, I saw Batman vs Superman in theaters. I didn't go in thinking it was gonna suck.
Some of them you just know.
I don't have a good nose, and maybe this is another side effect of that. I can't smell a stinky movie.
I'll let you know. Text me before you're gonna watch your next movie. I'll let you know.
I don't know because I don't know if I trust your judgment in that regard. You don't like Quest for Camelot. And you haven't even seen it.
I mean, this is the whole point of that, judging before watching. And if Rotten Tomatoes is correct, I think my nose is still right on the money.
We'll talk about this later. But
All right, let's continue. Yeah.
back to this. So we saw Home Alone, and Home Alone came out of what 1990, and I was in that like watching that movie, I just became absolutely nostalgic and in love with that 90s style of movies, even like down to that camera quality. You know how like those older 90s movies have that camera quality that is not that pristine like what we're
Yeah, I
used
say
to
like kind
today?
of grainy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of grainy. It's even a little bit unfocused, like the images aren't super sharp and they're not
Hmm.
polished. It's just it's kind of that grainy camera quality. I love that. I love that in movies. So any movies from like the 70s to the 90s, I love that kind of style of camera quality. If I was to make a movie today, I would use those cameras because I want to capture that same effect. And so even then when you recommended Jumanji, that like I'm already riding this 90s nostalgic love train, and this is just like the cherry on top. It was perfection for the mood I was in because of Home Alone. And it was an amazing experience. Like, first of all, why hasn't Jumanji become a ride? Like, Back to the Future is a ride, and I feel like that is not even rideable. Like, they just made like a DeLorean-based amusement park ride,
That's
or
rideable.
yeah,
A car?
it's a ride. It's. I feel like there's more you could get from Jumanji in terms of a theme park ride.
What
But
would you ride in
okay, so
Jumanji?
I'm thinking of my Disney Imagineers brain. You start off like the waiting area, like going down the line and like where you start it looks like a normal house. It looks almost like the house from the movie. So everything looks normal, everything looks good. But then when you start, like either the person working the ride or something in the ride will feature rolling dice. And then it's like you're going down the board of Jumanji. So the track that you're on, like for this ride,
Ah,
looks like the track of Jumanji. And then as you go down like whatever tunnel or something, the house, like vines start coming out and you go in, like you turn into the jungle. And so like then it's like
rain, a lot of water.
yeah, you do like twists and turns. There's a lion at one point, and then a sharp turn. There's the hunter, and then a sharp turn. Mosquitoes or the giant spiders, and then a sharp turn, and like there's a stampede, and then it's like a huge dip, like things like that.
But
And
what are you
then
riding on?
like a roller
A
coaster that's
door?
not a roller coaster. Oh
Oh,
well,
okay.
yeah, like I'm thinking like
Or
the
the
tape
pieces?
or the table, like the ride itself looks like the table.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, it has to be one of those.
Yeah, and so like that's what you're
Or the
on,
beat up police car.
and it's not like a real roller coaster. It's like always down on the ground. You're never going to go up, but it's just taking a lot of turns. And like sometimes it's slow and sometimes it's fast. And it's got the music. And then like you'll brush against like foliage, like fake foliage. So it's like you're in real, like the
Yeah, a
jungle.
little bit of mist to make it feel like it's raining.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe shoot a little bit of a poison dart at you
And then
to
at
get the
the
effect.
end, everybody yell on the ride, Jumanji. And then like the ride ends and you come out on like the like real life. Like the
You,
ride is
you really
over.
did think about this, huh?
Oh yeah, I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, this
At
would
what
be
point during the movie did you think this has to be a ride?
when the vines started coming out in the house. I was like, this needs to be a ride.
I would have thought it was the
Well,
floating on the doors in the monsoon scene with the alligators.
that definitely like solidified because it was whenever they got back to the house too and they saw like the house absolutely overrun by jungle. I was like, oh, this needs to be a ride. And then when the monsoon happened, I was like, this definitely needs to be a ride. I would ride this ride. like 4 times in a row. I would stand in line for this.
I don't know if I would do it, to be honest. As great as it sounds.
Come
Well,
on,
I got on
Tony.
the Back to the Future ride, so maybe I would.
Come on, Tony. Come on.
I don't know. Maybe it's a little too scary.
So I did look up that not an amusement park in America, but I can't remember the country, but I think like in Italy or something, there's gonna be a Jumanji ride, and I was like, what are you doing over there? Come here. Going back, Universal
Wait, what
Studios.
ride?
Like I'm not sure which amusement park it is, but an amusement park in Italy is gonna create and open in 2022 a Jumanji theme park ride.
Oh, but based off The Rock Jumanji, right?
Oh, I didn't look into that. Probably.
I guarantee it's got to be that one. There's no way they're gonna do
No,
it
I
from
want a
this one.
ride based off of this 1995, my year ride.
I'm pretty sure it can't be the Robin Williams one. It's just too old.
It's gonna be. Anyway,
I'm sorry
so
to break it to you. I'm the
oh
engineer over in Italy, and I'm breaking
no.
I'm breaking to you the news right now. You're gonna see Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart and Jack Black and Karen Gillan in this ride.
Now I'm upset, and the only way I won't be upset is to talk about this movie. So
All right, tell me what parts you liked.
I loved the beginning. Well, I mean that's hard. I like the whole movie, but I guess some of the
Pick a
standout.
scene.
Yeah. Standout highlight scenes is when Robin Williams comes out of the board and he is so excited. I'm home. I'm back. Where are my parents? That whole moment from when he comes.
Dad.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm back.
I'm back. And he's like, "Are you my brother and sister?" I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh no." Up until the part where like he's like, "Where are my parents?" And then he goes into town and he sees what the town has become, and then accumulating in him finding his parents' grave. That to me, my heart shattered. Like I was so sad. Just not even for like yes, I was sad for the character, but just in general, I was so sad. I was like, oh,
Like this is a guy that's been trapped in a different world, Jumanji, for 26 years. He comes back, but they take the time to show him readjusting, missing his parents, looking for his parents, finding out that they died, and then him visiting his gravestone. And I feel like a lot of movies now, well, you know what? There's still a lot of good like indie movies and things like that that would do that. But I'm saying like this is mainstream blockbuster. I don't know if Jumanji was a blockbuster when it came out,
Oh, it better have
but
been. Google
but
that.
like that sense, like those movies will not do that. Like they will try to just rush through this emotion and then get on to the next action sequence.
Absolutely. That was something that I was thinking yesterday when watching Home Sweet Home Alone versus Home Alone. Pacing in movies has just been run through the ringer. And the pacing of like movies from the 90s, I don't want to like generalize and be like all movies today have terrible pacing, like the way we said right now.
Agreed. Speak the truth, Caroline. No, I'm kidding. Go
But
ahead.
like mainstream, well, I think also a lot of these quote family films. I'll say that today's family films for children and like for parents, like family films, have terrible pacing. Absolutely terrible pacing. Everything is rushed. Everything because like I get it, they're trying to keep children's attention, but the beauty about those movies was they sometimes didn't treat kids like babies. They treated kids like a intelligent person and someone who can sit and watch moments like that and soak it in. A lot of times these filmmakers today with family films, they underestimate the attention span of kids and will just throw things at the screen or quickly we got to move from one scene to this because if we stay on this scene for like more than 40 seconds they're going to lose interest.
We're losing them. Pick it up.
Yeah, we're losing them. Pick it up. Say a joke. It's lit. But you know, in in Jumanji and you know in comparison to other films that are handling it a lot better, They don't. They show the emotion. You know, Robin Williams has all this hair on his face, but his eyes, like everything, he's acting with his eyes. You can see the tears welling up but not being shed. You could see his mouth quivering, like he doesn't know how to process what he's looking at, and he's looking
Who
at his,
rolled a 5 or an 8?
yeah. Oh my god.
He did.
One of my favorite lines, this is jumping around. This is not like
Jump
relevant to this.
around.
A jump
Jump around.
around. One of my favorite lines in the movie was whenever they were like, "Oh, are we sure we should we continue playing in here?" And he's like, I spent 26 years in here. It's out there that scares me."
Yeah.
I love that line so much. I was like, "Ooh." My second favorite line, even like I said, I'm jumping around, is the very end. By the way, everybody, spoiler alert. At the very end, when he's a little boy again, and his dad is like, "Why don't you and I have a talk man to man?" And he's like, "What about father to son?" That
I
melted
could do that.
my heart. That melted me. I was already an emotional mess. And then that scene happened, and I audibly went, "Oh," like, oh my goodness, my heart. And
Yeah,
then
that was so good.
so then also, this is where I get into a little bit of a tangent, but I was really passionate about this. The music of Jumanji is excellent. Like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's
I remember it
beautiful.
from when I was a kid. It's
It's
awesome.
it's beautiful. So in my film soundtrack love, had to look up the composer. The composer's name is James Horner, who is responsible for basically my childhood. I had no idea that this guy was the genius behind so many of my other beloved films, like the
Like what?
score. He did An American Tale, which is a cartoon movie about a mouse. And then he did Balto, another cartoon. He did what's the other one? We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, which is another cartoon. He did The Rocketeer, which was it was a Disney film, and it's the same. It's like what Captain America: The First Avenger was like thematically based on.
And who
And
directed those 2 movies you just mentioned?
was it off the top of my head? I can't remember. Hang on, I have the Wikipedia article.
There's a thread, Caroline, that you're mentioning right now. There's a
Joe,
thread.
is it Joe Johnson?
Yeah, and who directed Jumanji?
Joe Johnson.
Yes. Yes.
I did not even look at the director. I was looking at the composer. But now that
It
you
all makes
mention it,
sense now, doesn't it?
he did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, this guy, Joe Johnson.
Mhm. He did
Wow.
Captain America: The First Avenger. He did The Rocketeer.
Yeah. Oh, he did The Page Master. That was another one that James Horner worked on. And James Horner also is he did Zorro with Antonio Banderas. That was a
Yeah.
movie that, like, whoa. He did then his big one, his big one to me. Well, there's 2 of them. The Land Before Time and Titanic. Like,
Those are the big ones. Titanic, more so.
Titanic is the biggest one, but for me,
Yeah.
I loved The Land Before Time. I have memories of going to Hollywood Video. The Land Before Time was a default movie, and by default movie, we were part of this membership plan at Hollywood Video where you would pay so much
Can
money
you
a
explain
month.
to the kids what's a Hollywood Video?
Hollywood Video is the South Side's Blockbuster. Which basically is, it's like Blockbuster, but it's not. It's called Hollywood Video. You would go, it's a video.
Well, we had Hollywood Video too.
Okay, cool. But at least in San Antonio, I don't remember ever seeing a Hollywood Video in the north side. Um, we had a Blockbuster though, but we never went to Blockbuster. I think Hollywood Video was closer, and they had like this package deal, but it was a DVD or a VHS. It was a movie rental place, and so we already had like the days bookmarked. It was like, oh, Tuesday, that means they have new movies to rent. Let's go. We're going on Tuesday. And we were part of this, like, I guess, subscription plan with them where you would pay so much money a month. I can't remember exactly how much it was at the time, but I do remember we were able to rent up to 5 movies or like 5 items. So it could be movies or video games. And you could rent 5 and you have no late fees. And so a lot of times my mom wanted to just hit the check part, like she would just want to hit the limit. That way it didn't seem like as if we were wasting that money. So if we would go in and we would get like whatever recently was released. And then if we had like 2 or 3 slots left, she would be like, okay, go pick a movie. And Land Before Time was a default because it was like, okay, she just wants us to fill that slot, Land Before Time.
I was just gonna say Ocean's 13 was a default, I bet. So you always have to fill up 4.
No, we bought that movie.
Oh, okay.
We bought that when it came out. Also, I think when Oceans came out, that was the DVD hit. So it wasn't so much of well, no, I think Hollywood Video was still around at that time. I need to look up the year.
Well, with
But
DVDs?
yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember if Ocean's 13's DVD release coincided with Hollywood Video still being around. I would need to look that up. But I do remember default movies were Land Before Time, Air Bud, and there was one more. It was like a Mary Kate and Ashley movie or something. But yeah, Land Before Time was a big one. That music is like ingrained in my mind. And listening to James Horner's work with Jumanji is like wow. After I watched Jumanji, I went and I listened to a compilation of his work, like some of his best scores. I was getting so emotional. Like I want to rewatch all these movies.
It's
And
good. It's really good.
he's so talented, such a talented man. He basically scored him and John Williams, like the composers of my childhood. And like
These guys wrote the theme songs of your childhood
exactly.
and molded
Exact.
you to who you are now.
They molded me into the person I am today with music.
Not bad.
And so all like the Jumanji music is so good and it makes me yearn for soundtracks like that today. I love soundtracks like that. They use like I don't know what instrument it is exactly, but it's that lighter tone. I always recognize it in Home Alone, where you know when you hear that like da, na, 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 na.
Yeah.
It's that
What is
they,
that?
I don't know what that is, but it's that
Magic?
instrument.
Is it magic?
It's your imagination, but
Is it just beauty in this world? The
it's
light in the
just
darkness?
it's the last remaining beauty in this world.
It's the last remaining hope that we have to carry forward.
Hope. Rebellions are built on
Hope.
hope.
That's what it
It
is.
it's they use that instrument that was so prevalent and it just feels I think because it was related to moments of like hope and joy in the 90s that when I hear it, I immediately feel that. And that was used in this movie at some key moments, like when the game ends and they like what's her name?
Sarah
Sarah
Whittle?
and yeah, when Sarah and Alan look up in their kids and it's silent, and then when he sees his dad and you start hearing the music play, and I'm like, ugh!
Yeah.
It was so good.
They
So
use it
good.
during really good moments.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. There were so many scenes that this goes back to like episode 1 with Dune, where I was talking about the music and how a lot of those scenes were really emotional, but I feel like they could have been exponentially uplifted if they had a really moving score to go with it. That's like the movies like this are pure examples of that because I'm already emotional. The scene alone is already getting me emotional, but then add that beautiful score in the background and I was a mess. I was an absolute mess.
Which you kind of mentioned it, like when they're returning from Jumanji or when they beat the game. But I want to know what were some of those big emotional scenes for you? Like what specifically was it?
So, okay, one like big emotion. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna try to remember well so I can work towards the end. When he finds that homeless man, and the homeless man is telling him because he was like, "What happened to what's his dad's name? Sam Parrish."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, the company went under. It went down. His son Alan disappeared, and he spent all of his time, resources, money trying to find his son." And he eventually stopped caring. The company shut down, and he despaired. I don't think anybody loved his son as much as he did. And like
Yep.
you hear that like soft score in the background, Robin Williams' face. I was a mess. I was an abs because even like I was kind of with Robin Williams in that. I didn't think his dad cared about him. His dad was very, like in the beginning of the movie, we just kind of see his dad as stern. We don't really see that side of him.
They do a
And
good job of showing that he's the classic, very business focused guy. He's very rich.
yeah,
They have a big home. You can see that he's very focused on his company. And when they get back home, they show him giving him the brochure to boarding school or whatever it was. And all that is just hints like, all right, this guy he probably doesn't spend much time at home, doesn't really care much for his kid.
not only that, but like even some of the parts where his son tells him like, "Dad, can you take me back home?" And he's like, "You got to go face your fears. You got to go face your bullies." Like I just feel like if that was my dad, my dad would be like, "Why? What's wrong? Yeah, I'll take you home. Get in the car." Like and already his dad's like being that stern kind of like, "Hey, you got to face him. You got to face your fears. You got to go out there. You got to be a man." And then when he gets jumped by all these other kids and he comes home, his dad is just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know they would outnumber you, but hey, you took it on like a champ." I was like, "This guy." The
Yeah.
and then like he's ready to just leave for the party and his wife is like, "Honey, we need to talk to Alan." And then he's just kind of like, and then he goes and he
Yeah,
talks
let's
to
get this
him.
over with.
Yeah, yeah. I was already like this guy. Oh my god. I was getting like genuinely upset. Like how dare he? No wonder this kid went to the jungle. I would too after being like his kid.
That
And
wasn't
then
his choice, Carolyn.
I
I
would
hate my dad.
voluntarily
Suck me up, Jumanji.
I would voluntarily like, "Oh, that's it. I'm out of here." Roll the dice.
So if you were Sarah, it would be like, no, take me, take me. No, Jumanji.
And then I would just leave a post-it where it's like, "When you're ready to talk, roll a 5
Yeah, or an 8.
or an 8."
Dad. Or, I mean, Sam.
Damn.
Don't write dad yet.
Mr. Parrish.
Ooh, even better. Not
But
Mister, that's too much respect. Yeah, go ahead.
so yeah, like that part where he's talking to the homeless man and the homeless man tells him, and you can see just another side tangent. Robin Williams, A+ actor. Just everybody knows he is already. That doesn't need to be said, but there's a reason why this is one of his best movies. He acts he's amazing as an actor. I could just like even his eyes already because he was covered in hair, so you're not really seeing it, but no, you're getting the full effect even though he's covered in hair. His eyes, the way that they shine and they glimmer, and the way his brows furrow, the way he stammers when he's like sad, it's just wow. And I was feeling that full emotional impact from when um that homeless man was telling him like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Parrish, he used all of his resources, all of his money trying to look for his kid, but he never found him." And eventually he just stopped caring. Like nothing mattered to him anymore. And it's like,
And
"Oh,
to add on top of that, the whole rumor going around is that people
he killed
think he
he killed
killed Alan
yeah.
and chopped up his body and hid him in the house.
Can you imagine that? Like he's using all of his resources to find his son, and like I'm just trying to like think about what was going on while Alan was in Jumanji in like Earth 1, where he's looking for his son so desperately and everybody thinks he was the culprit. Like that's just so insane.
So you can assume he would have no support, no emotional support, nobody helping him out to try to find him or see what happened to him.
And then like not only that, but like think of like law enforcement investigation. If he's like suspect number 1, they're not working with him, they're kind of working on their own and in a way against him because they're like, did he kill his son? And he's like, I'm trying to find him. I do question though why Beverly, like everybody said she was crazy, but why did that news never reach him? Like Mr. Parrish? I just feel like if he talked to Beverly, we could have had a little bit shorter of an outcome here, but okay, I'm not
Which
going to try to
Beverly?
I'm sorry, not Beverly. I'm thinking of something else entirely. Sarah. And if he would have talked to Sarah and just had that conversation because she was saying like everybody thought I was crazy and nobody believed me when I said that you went into the board game.
You know, I was reading what people thought about that, and I think we could just interpret it ourselves. And either way, like it probably is possible that Sarah told his parents immediately, like, I saw him get sucked up into this board game. And we could just assume that, yeah, that probably didn't happen. You know, that's like so unbelievable. But even if they did believe it, they would have no idea how to get him out. They probably considered it. They probably, looked at the board games, saw, how could this possibly happen? But it couldn't get any much further than that. Like what else could they do, even if they do believe that that's what happened?
I guess so. And they do kind of cover it whenever she says, like, everybody thought I was crazy. She says it real passingly, like, everyone thought I was crazy, but you can assume that everyone also meant his parents. I'm sure she would have told, like, told them he's in the game, but they were like, we don't have time for this. You're crazy kind of thing. And then, like, plus, he is shown to be a pretty stern, no nonsense dad. I really don't think he would have believed her after giving it a
Yeah,
little
or
more
he could have
thought.
been offended. Like, are you serious? My son is missing, and
Yeah,
you're saying he
yeah.
got sucked into a board game?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So transferring over to the kids, I don't know how this is gonna make you feel, but Kristen Dunst, her character, got on my nerves a little bit.
Oh, really? Which parts?
Just a tiny bit.
Which
Um,
parts?
I think it's just her lying. I can't stand that, and that was just getting on my nerves a tiny bit. Where
So in the
even like,
beginning?
yeah, yeah, just like that was a little bit of a mood ruiner because he's staring at his parents' grave, and then she just kind of says like, or no, I think what's the little boy's name? Peter.
Yeah.
And so when Peter says like our parents, died too, and he's trying to be genuine, she's like they were negotiating peace in the Middle East, and he like hits her, and I was like, yeah, Peter, shut her up right now. This is not the time for that.
I thought Judy was great all throughout the movie, but that scene did stand out for me too because I thought, why did she think that was a good time to say that? But I guess it's part of her character to be kind of closed off and make up all these lies. She told the realtor those lies as well, and that's probably like her only way to cope with it. But I still find it weird that she was willing to share that story while Peter is grieving. I mean, not Peter, while Alan is grieving at the
Yeah,
gravestone. But I know they also use that as an opportunity for Peter to finally open up since he wasn't talking to anybody ever since his parents died. So he could finally relate with Alan on losing a parent.
absolutely. And they have one of the best dynamics, Peter and Alan. I absolutely loved their moments in the film. Even I think what was it when Peter turns into a monkey and Alan talks to him the way his
Yeah,
dad talked to him. That's such a good scene where he's talking to him really harshly and Peter is kind of like crying and whimpering and Alan's getting after him and he's using almost word for word what his dad told him.
yeah.
And
You have to
then
face your fears.
yeah, you have to face your fears. You can't be afraid, and you have to just chin up. You have to man up,
Yeah,
and meanwhile, he's a kid, and he's just genuinely distressed at what's going on, and because he just turned into like a little monkey boy, and he's like scared. He's like, and he's whimpering like a monkey and everything, and then like it hits Alan. You sound just like your dad. And he's like 26 years in the jungle, and I still can't like I still talk just like my father.
yeah. I love that scene.
Yeah. They really had like the best. To me, they had one of the best dynamics, those two.
So this is one of the reasons I brought it up as a. Well, I did bring it up, right? As a Thanksgiving movie, or no? I think I did bring it up. But either way, I thought it was a good movie for that because you see how they all had to come together and become a family.
Yeah, yeah, you did bring it up. I remember now.
Yeah.
They
So
became like their parents and
yeah,
that even like they became kind of parental of those kids. And even in the end, like just kind of jumping, but like in the end when Sarah and Alan are children again, and he's like, like Peter and Judy, and she's like, they don't exist right now. But once like we cut back to like was it 25, 26 years later in 1995, and they see the kids again. He's like, and they feel all of that affection that they've been holding for them. Just
They're just like I
finally,
remember them.
they're just like I remember them, and they already had presents ready for them. I thought that was so sweet. Like, I imagine how they must have been to like get everything in motion for this, like for that moment. With Alan hiring the dad and then inviting him to this Christmas party and then being like, we're gonna see them today. We're finally gonna see them today. Making sure they have presents for them, and then like when they do see them, it's like, wow, there they are. They're just like the way we remembered them, and they're just so cute, those kids. I'll give them that. They're super cute kids.
Yeah, before I get into that, I want to quickly call out that moment where they're like, "Oh yeah, we're thinking about taking a vacation up in," like, "Whoa,
Yes. No.
don't, please no."
No. Can you start next week?
Yeah,
He's
because
like,
that's where
oh,
they die, so they could prevent them, which I thought was
exactly.
awesome. It
That
really, that's a
I'm
good
so
moment.
glad. This is the Earth 2. This is the rewrite history we always needed.
Yeah,
Even that I'm jumping around a lot, I know, but I'm just like vomiting my love for this
this is how we
movie.
do it.
Yeah. When he's on the phone with his dad in 1995, Earth 2 style, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll pick you from the airport. You're the best present. I love you, Dad." And I'm like,
Yeah,
so
he's
emotional.
just so grateful now.
That scene when he when he's a child and his dad is like, "I forgot this," and he's on that little boy is on the verge of tears, and he just tells him like, "I'm sorry," and then he
And
says
I'm so
something
glad
that
you're back, right? Or
he says something that I thought was so smart for a screenwriter. Was he was like, "I thought you said you were never going to talk to me again," and he goes, "Whatever I said, I'm sorry." Like, that to me is such smart screenwriting. To him, that was 26 years ago. He doesn't remember what he said. And he's like, "Whatever I said, I'm sorry." And you can see his dad's face soften instantly. Instantly. I loved that scene so much.
I love that too because doesn't it make you think if you have like any personal problems with somebody or a family member and you probably made a comment like that and you guys don't keep in touch, doesn't a moment like that kind of remind you how insignificant that all is? You know, to just finally look past it. And that exact line of, whatever I said, I'm sorry. Like, who cares? That was 26 years ago, and I'm so happy to have you right now. And that's what it reminds me of. Like, man, maybe there's things in my life, there's problems in my life that aren't that big, that are making a bigger deal than it is.
Along that same vein, it made me think of when it comes to the people that you love, you're always going to have disagreements in a sense. Nobody's ever going to have like 100% get along or always have good moments with a person. But the idea is never to stay mad. You never know when your last day with that person is going to be, or your last day is going to be, and to always make sure that whatever disagreements, no matter how big or small, that you get past them and you say, you apologize even if it wasn't your fault or if it was, and you go back. Like that's just the thing with family is even when family has wronged you or when family has um like when you're in a disagreement, it's better to move on from it and forgive each other and remember the love that's between the two. And that was like what I was getting from that scene is, even like they had a huge argument, and going to Earth 1, they had this huge argument and they didn't know that that was going to be the last time they saw each other. And if I put myself in those shoes, it's like I would never want to end the day with an argument. My family, we have this like personal kind of motto where it's we never let the sun set on our anger or like the sun rise on anger. So never go to bed angry. Never end the day with a disagreement with somebody. Always work it out by the morning. So
Oh,
whether
do you
I
let the sun rise on a grateful De La Garza household?
exactly the way Thanos intended it should be.
I knew he was right this whole time.
So like I think of things like that with him and his dad, where it's like never let the sun rise on your anger, never go to bed angry, and always make sure that you make it up.
Can I also go back to the scene that we were kind of talking about? Because I want to explain when I was watching it first time as a kid, and every time I rewatch it, that whole ending scene of the movie when they go back to being kids again, everything starts over, everything is fixed, and then they live out the 26 years, and then they see Peter and Judy again.
Hmm.
That is so surreal to me and so sad to me that they lived out this huge adventure. They fought for each other, they loved each other, they worked with each other, helped each other, and then bam, just like that, they forget. Well, like Judy and Peter, they don't know. Like all of that doesn't exist. It never happened. Luckily, Alan and Sarah still remember, but for me, it just breaks my heart that they don't know that they shared such a bond throughout that adventure.
Thought the
And it kind of
exact
leaves me a little sad, even though seeing the kids again, they look like really happy and healthy, and it's during
yeah.
Christmas and it looks nice, but I feel like there's a tinge of sadness when I
There
see that.
is. I thought the exact same thing. I fully expected when that scene was happening and he was talking to like the parents and I was like, "Oh, those are the parents." I was ready for the kids to come in, see them and like hug them. Like cuz they remember.
Yeah, didn't
But
you want to see that? Just like,
yeah,
you're alive, we're back.
I was fully expecting that and when it didn't happen, I got really sad. I was like, "Wow, that the memories, the journey, their experiences that the and then like you said prior, those 4 were like a family. And they had, they relied on each other, they trusted each other, and they kind of saw them like the kids kind of saw them as a stand-in for their parents during this time. Like Sarah and Judy were together, like they would walk together when they
Yeah,
were
they would
walking
hold
back to the house.
hands,
Exactly.
walking together.
And
Yeah,
then, like, Peter would confide in Alan, and he was, like, whispering in his ear. They were already acting like a father and son, and all of that was just kind of, like, it's gone now. But, I mean, it's gone but, like, they're happy, they're good, but it's bittersweet because they lost those bonds, those connections, and only Alan and Sarah remember that.
it's sad, but man, it's such a good idea for a movie. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that's the way it played out. It's so good. But yeah, is there any other scenes that got you emotional? Or is there any other scenes that just stood out for any other reason?
I'm trying to remember. I'm still emotional from the ending.
I want to
Um,
call one out just as
yeah,
like a little
yeah.
aside that so once Alan comes back from Jumanji, Peter rolled the five. Um, he tries to do the reverse psychology on him to get him to play again because he's way too scared to start playing Jumanji again.
Mhm.
That whole scene right there. I just want to make a comparison to the new Jumanji. I haven't seen it,
I haven't seen it either.
and I'm not gonna judge it based on is the full movie, but just from the trailers. I remember seeing the trailers where well, going back to the original Jumanji, um Peter was using reverse psychology on Alan, and he's saying, "Let's just go, Judy. He's just too scared. He doesn't want to play." And then he's like, "What do you mean?" Yeah, I'm not scared. Blah blah blah. Is working. The reverse psychology is working. And then he's like, "It's alright. If you're too scared, we'll just keep playing on our own." And then he's like, "Listen, I've seen things that you can't even dream of. Things that you only see in your nightmares." And he explains Jumanji to be terrifying. And as you can imagine, to see a lot of it, huge monsoons, giant mosquitoes, wild
Yeah.
lions. All of that is coming from where Alan was for 26 years. So he probably ran into a bunch of those. That's where he was. That's Jumanji. What you're calling Earth 2. That's Jumanji. And for the trailer for the new Jumanji with The Rock and Kevin Hart, there's literally a scene, where they go into the video game, and then there's like this guy or pilot, whatever. He's like, "Welcome to Jumanji," and then it's a landscape, and it's like, "Ah, beautiful! Look at this adventure that we're gonna go on." Exact opposite uh portrayals of what Jumanji is. One is supposed to be literally a nightmare, and then this one is like Pandora. Like, welcome to Jumanji.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Now that you're saying it, I remember this trailer and I did not get it, but now that you're saying it, yeah, uh, that gets me so upset now.
Now, these aren't supposed to connect, from what I'm aware. It's like a new
Okay,
Jumanji. It's rebooted. Is
okay,
his own
good,
thing now, and I'm sure it's
good.
fine and it's a great adventure. But I prefer this one.
Oh yeah,
I'm biased, obviously, but
hand,
I like this one.
hands down. That was the point, though, was that it's a nightmare. Why would you want to? I just feel like making Jumanji attractive, like that defeats the whole purpose. The whole point is Jumanji is supposed to be this nightmare junglescape full of danger and death.
Yeah, and also kind of connected to that, how they all feared Jumanji. I love that as well because, again, this is the movie taking its time to really flesh out the lore and the characters. I love that the very first scene takes place in the 1800s, like 1860 or whatever. I think it was like 100 years before.
Mhm.
And they're showing how dangerous this game is. They're burying Jumanji like as far as they can into the ground. And one of the kids asks, like, what if somebody finds this? And then the other guy digging, he says, may God have mercy on their souls. And then they
Oh,
cover it up and then go away.
chills,
And then it
chills.
flash forward to
Yep.
1969. And it's just like a slow burn of like showing how dangerous this game is. And it's such a cool idea that
I want a lore, like a movie or something, like a book, something, and on the lore of Jumanji. How was it made? Why was it made?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a book explaining the background or not. But I was gonna say that I love this idea that first of all they're really creating that image of this board game being haunting, just like a terrifying experience.
The
And
drums, the
the
drums.
game with drums, I love that.
That like towards like the middle of the movie, those drums terrified me. When the kids started hearing the drums, the Judy and Peter,
From
I
the
was
first floor, they heard it in the attic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like I was already getting chills from those drums.
And then they go, "You hear it too?"
You hear oh, it was so cool. But man, that was so chilling. Just even like from a direction of filmmaking, being like, oh, the game emits drum sounds, and it's like those like jungle native drums where it's like boom 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 boom
Yeah,
boom.
pounding.
It's and then like the I guess the more it's calling you or the more frantic it is, because sometimes it would just be like a steady boom boom boom, but then sometimes it was like boom 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 boom, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, why are you
the
speeding
closer
up?
you get is almost like hot and cold.
I felt like it was calling them because
It
sometimes,
was. I believe it.
yeah, because it wasn't like as if the closer they got, it was getting like faster. There was a scene where Judy looks away, like she's looking in the direction where it was, and then she turns around, and it's when she turns around that the drums speed up. Like, no, 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 I'm here. Like, turn around. It was so like, oh, so chilling, so amazing.
I also want to give credit to the idea that I was going to mention. I love that the game spans all those years. Like it started with Alan and Sarah, and then Judy and Peter are continuing it 26 years later. They're playing the same game. I love that idea.
It's the
They haven't
same
finished
game.
it.
They just
And
needed
then that
four
scene,
players.
yeah, that scene, I love when he's like, "All right, so you roll." He's like, "It's not my turn." So whose turn is it? Sarah Whittle. And then they have to go find their house. They have to
Yeah.
convince her to play. Like they really take time to flesh all of that out. Like she wasn't obviously she was traumatized. She was hesitating to roll the dice. It's so good.
There was just so many things right with this movie. I it's already been like, we're not the first people to say this movie is a classic, but this is I can see now why it's a classic. I get it. I get why it's just so good.
It has the heart.
It really does. All that emotion, the heart. There were scenes that I've started to appreciate. We talked about this a good amount of time already at the beginning of the episode, but just those scenes where the camera would hold and take in the emotion of people, their faces. There doesn't have to be dialogue all the time. It's not fast paced. The film was so good in pacing that yeah, there were scenes where it was like that kind of slapstick. I think especially when they were in that like department store, that
Big
felt
time.
very
Yeah.
yeah, like, that felt very 90s, it was fun, it was that slapstick, like, "We gotta run," we're being chased and things like that, but then there would be scenes where they were, like, sitting and looking at like, when they were in the attic again at the end and they were just looking at the board, and it would just kind of take that in. The movie didn't rush to be like, "Alright, roll the dice," until it was a scene where, like, the music would get tense and it'd be like, "Roll it, roll the dice."
Also,
Be
I found it very believable because I don't know if you thought of this, but I'm sure some people would think, why don't they just speed run the game? Just roll the dice, next person, roll the dice, next person, roll the dice, and quickly beat the game. I think it was very believable how they did it in this
Absolutely.
movie because I think if you did a speed run, you would just be doubling, tripling, quadrupling all the
Exactly.
threats and die.
I thought that at first. I thought that at first when they were just starting, and I was like, "All right, just keep rolling the dice. Everybody just roll the dice." But no, like something would come along and it was like, "Okay, yeah, you got to run. You got to go. You got to make sure that you're safe. You've outran that obstacle and then roll the dice again." Because yeah, I think which part did they do it? Was it
Or which one?
trying to remember. When he tried to drop the dice, Peter, he tried to drop the dice so it would land on a 12.
Oh yeah, this is when Alan gets taken away by Carl and he tries
Yeah.
to cheat on the side of the road right there
Mhm.
to make the die land on. I think it was a 10.
Yeah, and so, like, we even see where in moments like that where they're just trying to get through it quickly and he was just trying to get through it quickly, it would backfire and that would be like a double. It's like, "Oh, now we have 2 things to deal with." Or the game kind of punishes you that way where it's like you cheated.
Also, I don't know if you caught this, but I saw this as a kid, so I didn't catch this. But did you realize that the hunter and the dad are the same character, the same actor?
I realized it halfway through the movie and not because of my own watching. I was looking up the IMDb for who played the hunter while
Oh,
I
you
was watching the
spoiled
movie.
it.
I did. I didn't know it was a thing, but then I was like, and then so I was like, that's the same actor? Was that intentional or are they just like saving money on actors? But then once he got to the end, like once the hunter had him cornered and he had his hands in the air, I was like, yeah, it's
Yep,
intentional.
that's what this
It's
is for.
it's definitely intentional.
It's brilliant.
It was so cool, so symbolic, just chef's kiss, poetic cinema, amazing.
I also want to call out that there is a lot of the effects that are outdated,
Yeah, yeah,
but
it came out in '95, but it
it
doesn't
didn't
look
bother me. Like, yeah, the
yeah,
monkeys, the stampede, those were all
the
straight up
mosquitoes,
CGI.
yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that were practical and looked real. Like a lot of the moments, I'm sure they used like I don't know what you would call it, but like
Like an animatronic or a puppet.
yeah, for the lion,
Mhm.
for the vines, for
The
that
lions look
huge
great. The
yeah, the
lion looks
lion
so
looked
cool.
awesome, especially when his claws came through the door. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. But that's stuff that, like, I think it just adds to the charm of the movie. It adds to that whole atmosphere of '90s and, like, I feel like that just goes along with the way we were talking about the film quality.
Yeah.
You're gonna get stuff like that, but you don't mind. It's not like as if like, "Oh, this movie looks terrible." No, it looks great because
That
it
doesn't even bother me right now. I was telling
yeah,
you before that it only bothers me if it's people. Like if I could tell that CGI is on the face or whatever, it just takes me out of it. But I don't care if it's on animals or cars or buildings. That's fine. And I don't care how bad or good it looks.
I agree. I'm a huge fan of like of Jim Henson and all of his work. He has like I'm trying to remember. He has like Labyrinth, he has The Dark Crystal, and all of those movies are done using practical effects with like puppetry. And I love stuff like that. I love like those practical effects, and sometimes it'll mix in like some CG, but like in Labyrinth, the movie for example, there's like a little worm, and he's like a little CG hat like slash puppet worm, and yeah, you can kind of tell he's not like really there, but it looks fine. Like this movie came out in like the 80s, and it looks totally fine for its time. It doesn't even bother you. But I'm thinking of like the what was it, Tron Legacy, the second Tron,
Yeah. Yes.
when it's the young, was it Jeff
Jeff
Bridges?
Bridges.
Yeah, yeah. You
That's
know
gonna make a
that
connection soon.
that that is where it's like, oh, oh yeah, that person's not there. That's a young that's a
I
CG.
don't remember how old I was when I saw that movie, or maybe I was just really dumb. But when I saw that, I just thought, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but it doesn't seem right.
I remember
I couldn't tell that it was CGI. I just thought this doesn't seem right. I don't like it.
I remember knowing about it before going to see the movie, because I was like reading into it and things like that, and they talked about like, oh, this is and I think that was the first time a person had ever been digitally young in a film, like digitally altered to be young. That was the first time it was used. And I remember like really wanting to see the movie because I wanted to see how that looked. And I was completely um like not immersed, but what's the word? Like enthralled by it. I was like, how did they do it? And so when I went and I saw it, there's this scene at the end of Tron Legacy where because I think he plays Clue, and I'm trying to remember the name of the character, but I think it's Clue or something like that.
Oh, I
And
wouldn't know.
yeah, there's this scene where Clue is, which is like the Michael Douglas younger double, or like that's the CG. I'm sorry, not Michael Douglas, Jeff Bridges. That's the scene where Jeff Bridges, like he's the younger Jeff Bridges is his character's name is Clue, and he's like being sucked into this vortex, this digital vortex, and he's like trying to claw and reach out, and that's where I was like, that's CG. That is definitely CG. That's a real person. He was semi like something was off, like the way you said it throughout the whole movie, but something was off. But in this final scene when they defeat him, he looked completely cartoon to me. I was like, yep, that's a CG character. And that kind of like it didn't pull me out of the movie completely, but that is kind of where it broke immersion. And I was like,
Right.
oh. But in movies like going back to Jumanji, they don't try to do that. They keep the practical and the CG to only things like that pertain to the jungle. It's like we're not going to actually get rhinos and zebras and things like that. We're going to animate them.
But they did get some stuff like the lion, the vines, and the spiders
Yeah.
looked really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because they mixed both, and I thought it was still a good execution.
I love it. I loved it so much. This is a great recommendation, Tone. I think I give it a 10 out of 10.
Awesome. I thought you would like it. When I see it, I'm like, man, I think everybody needs to see this. It's such a beautiful movie, and
I
that's why
also
I was hesitant to watch the new ones because I know, well, I guess I don't know. But
yeah.
maybe it won't have the heart. Maybe. I can't judge it yet, but that's why I haven't seen it. Go ahead, you were gonna say something?
I felt like this movie, not only was it a good recommendation, but I was just in the back of my mind every now and then I was like, Tony would like this movie. He's a board game guy. This is a board game movie.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that at all, but I love that so much that it's so wonderful whenever they roll the die, the pieces move on their own, and then
Yeah.
everybody leans in, they look into the glass, this mystical glass, and then there's always a rhyme. In the jungle, you must wait until the dice reach 5 or 8. And then even on the
Yeah.
sides, I forgot the exact words, but it's how's it go? I don't know if you remember.
I looked it up today. Hang on. Because I was looking up if I could buy a Jumanji board game.
You could. There are Jumanji board games. I have one. Is back in New York,
Well,
but is not. They can't really replicate what the movie does, obviously.
obviously. Yeah.
Um, but I don't think is all. I don't think it's all that. I think it's kind of fun to like think about the movie while you're playing it. But
Jumanji, a game for those who seek to find
yes,
a way to leave their world behind. You roll the dice to move your token. Double gets another turn. The first player to reach the end wins.
I
But
love that.
I was gonna say we gotta play that when you come down here. That
I would love, and I know this exists. I just never looked it up. But an official wooden Jumanji.
I'm looking at one right
That's
now.
gotta be hundreds of dollars, but it would be beautiful to have that.
It is $145 on Amazon.
That is so cheap. Send me the link. I'm getting my credit card ready. But how wooden is this? Carved outsides. I want the
Let's
glass in the
see.
middle. I want the marble tokens. I
Size
want all
prop
that.
replica. Fully functional board game includes unique gameplay. Contents include a replica of the board, 4 tokens, 2 dice, and instruction components for the game, 2 to 4 players. But is it wooden?
I don't know, but it looks really good.
It looks really good.
Man, I love that.
It takes 1 battery. I assume the middle then lights up or something.
Yeah, yeah, because you see the Jumanji has to light up.
Yeah. Let's see. Is this real wood? Oh, here we go. Is it real wood? No, but even though it's not real wood, it's still perfect and as close we will ever get, is what they said.
So we're paying $145 for fake wood?
Fake Jumanji.
I bet it won't even summon stampedes. Are you kidding me?
I want a zebra.
Oh, you know what? I just remembered another really emotional scene for me.
Hmm.
When Sarah, they get back to the parish house and they're convincing her to keep playing, and she says, "What if I get sucked in?" And Alan's the first one to go, "That's not gonna happen because I won't stop playing." And then Judy goes, "And neither will I." And then Peter goes, "And neither will I." And he puts his hand
Oh,
in, and then they all put their hands together. That's
yeah.
beautiful. So
Yes.
beautiful.
And
Come on.
the music, the camera, the way it pans and everybody's putting their hands in. Ah, perfection.
It's
Absolute
beautiful.
perfection. I
Come
found
on.
it on the topic of finding an actual Jumanji. I found a listing on Etsy
Uh-huh.
for a real Jumanji. This is what it's
Real.
a
Oh,
real
so this thing is
Jumanji.
gonna summon stampedes.
Boom, boom, boom,
Dum,
boom,
dum,
boom.
dum.
And
Run.
the
It's
only
a
thing is
stampede.
the only thing is that the person in the description put, "This is not a toy. It is a delicate work of art, not intended for young children, but for collectors."
That's me, baby, but it costs $200 extra. And it looks pretty good.
I don't want to discredit this artist's work because it is real wood, but it does look very similar to this Amazon one.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say it looks good, but not $200 better.
Like for $200 cheaper, you could just get the Amazon one.
The dice look nice and dirty, like it did in the movie. I like
That's
that.
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I feel like I could get my friend Josh to get those pieces on the Amazon and dirty them like himself.
So
Hey, I
we could
wonder
buy
if
the
I could.
cheapest version of this, and then
Oh, I
you
could
could
do
dirty it
that.
up.
Josh, I know you're listening to this. I think I have a job for you.
This will be your greatest accomplishment. And what if he has like a PhD or something? This will be your greatest accomplishment.
This is your magnum
Recreating.
opus
Yeah.
to recreate the Jumanji out of this Play Jumanji kit. He would probably love that though. I'm gonna message
That would,
him
I mean,
afterwards.
yeah, this is a fun idea. I know for people who like painting tokens and things like that. This is it.
Yeah.
This is a project right here.
I think yeah, I'm looking at like the dice on this Amazon thing. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good.
How do the dice look? Too clean or?
The dice on the Amazon one look a little too clean, but I think if you get like there's like a special kind of paint or something, you can dirty them up a bit. They also look kind of small, but
Yeah.
I feel
You
like
know
you
what would
could
be?
go
Huh?
ahead. I feel like you could replace those with like you could just buy another set of dice and then like paint them or something to look like the Jumanji dice.
Oh yeah, of course. But I was thinking, I hope they added that little extra detail where the starting uh the starting spaces have a magnet underneath, and they all could
Oh,
magnetize to the starting space.
hang on. I'm headed to the Q&A. I'm gonna find out.
Does it have magnets?
Does it have magnets? I love that the spaces move on their own. I think that's so cool. Like in the
If it
movie.
doesn't have, can you write that in there, Caroline? Can you ask the
I'm gonna
people of
ask
Amazon?
a question. I'm gonna see more answered questions. Do I?
Oh, so let me tell you, because I played this Jumanji a couple times. Is not it's like it's an okay game. It's like a fun, casual game, but it's not very replayable or it doesn't have very much depth because when you roll, you land on a space and then you draw a card, and then it could be like mosquitoes or monsoon or whatever. But all you have to do is roll another pair of dice, and it'll say you have to roll. Let's say it's the mosquitoes. I forgot how the dice look, but this is an example. If it's mosquitoes, the dice will have images on each side, and one of the sides will have like let's say a pair of feet or shoes or something, and that'll mean that you're running away from it and you're escaping the mosquitoes. And I'll say you have to roll two or a pair of feet within the time frame of like the sand timer. So you flip over the timer, you keep rolling the dice until you get it, and that's it. You escaped that Jumanji event. So it's okay. There's not much more
Oh,
strategy than that. And you're really just doing that to get to the very end.
okay. Okay. I feel like if I was a more creative person, figure out a way to make that a little more exciting. Like incorporate some physical type of the game where it's like you gotta, I don't know, run around the table or something until like somebody rolls this. Like if
Caroline, how
you,
does this sound?
uh
Scrap the Jumanji roller coaster thrill ride. Jumanji escape room. You roll the dice, you read what comes
huh.
up, and they throw real mosquitoes at you if you roll a mosquito. Or if you get a monsoon, they start
Ice bucket
flooding the
challenge.
building.
Genius.
How good does that sound?
You absolute genius. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Anybody out there, you could take that idea.
You can have it, but just, in, message us on Instagram so we can go and actually do this Jumanji escape
Yeah,
room.
I'm so down because I won't stop playing until Jumanji.
I even like that at the end you have to shout Jumanji. I think that's so cool.
Oh yeah, and then the way that it happens too. He's like, "Drop it. What's in your hand? Drop it." He's like,
Do you have
"Okay,
any final words?
Jumanji."
Jumanji.
And he goes, "What?" He
Jumanji.
didn't hear it.
It's Jumanji.
Jumanji. Awesome.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Also, to answer your question, those pieces are not magnetized.
We got to work on that too.
As
It's
part of
all
that
good. It's all good.
$200 upgrade package.
That Etsy artist put magnets in it.
Yeah, he said it's a complete replica.
Wow. All right, maybe it is worth the 200 for magnets.
Mm, for magnets.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's. I think that's such a beautiful looking board game. Even though it's not the best, most fun board game, I think it's so beautiful.
If you were to give it a hotness, what is that called, right? That's what it's called
Yeah,
on
on
the
the
board
hotness
game.
scale on
If you,
BGG.
uh-huh. What
Yeah.
would you give it on the hotness scale?
Well, hotness grades the popularity, so right now it would be pretty
Ah,
low. It doesn't grade the quality. It's just what's selling and what's being played most at the
got it.
time. Yeah.
Got it.
So it'd be pretty low. It won't even make the hotness list.
This was a
So
good movie. This was a very
yeah,
good movie. I
I think we
wanna
covered a lot of it. Oh yeah, is there anything else? What do you
I
got?
just wanna I wanna rewatch it with my family. Like, I want my mom and Davey to see it. I think they would really enjoy it.
So they haven't seen it.
They have not.
Okay, I think they'll like it too.
Oh, I think so. I think they will like it.
I'm telling you, in my eyes, it's a classic.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. 100% a classic. But before we move on to your film,
Right?
um, I want to insert here at the show because typically I say this at the end, and we always like joke around that we don't think anybody listens till the end. So if
Oh,
you're
they don't.
listening, we'll say it right now in the middle. If you're listening, be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast app, or if you're hearing us on YouTube, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you can reach us at Instagram Instagram at Elbow Nudge, Twitter at Elbow Nudge, and YouTube. We are also Elbow Nudge. Thank you.
But Caroline, I want the people who stick around to the end to hear that.
I can repeat it.
Okay. Best of both worlds.
Everybody's happy.
So are we moving on to your recommendation for me to watch?
I'm trying to think if there's anything more I want to say about Jumanji. You know what? I'll read a little bit of excerpts from my notes. They
Okay.
are not that extensive. I was writing, like, I didn't want to take my eyes away from the movie, so I just wrote like really quick snippets. One of them was because you know how Sarah in when she's a kid and they're first playing it, what is it, 1969?
Yes, that's right.
When she rolls and it's bats, and I was like, bats. Why did it have to be bats?
Will that be the worst role for you?
I have a distinct memory from when I was 12. We have a mall in San Antonio called North Star Mall. I love that mall. But I can't remember which month or season it is. I think it's somewhere in fall or winter time, kind of around now, but they have like a stacked garage. You know those garages where you kind of drive in a circle to get higher and higher?
Yeah.
The
spiral
parking
ramp.
lot. Yeah, those spiral ramps.
Yeah.
They have a parking lot like that. And one time we had to drive pretty high. I think it was the holidays, yeah, because there was a lot of people at the mall. We had to drive pretty high to park. And when we parked, all I can hear was little squeaks. And then my mom was like, "What's that noise?" And my dad's like, "Look up, like look on the roof, the ceiling. The ceiling was covered. I couldn't see the ceiling, covered in bats, absolutely covered in bats."
That was a perfect setup for your dad to scream like Robin Williams. What's that noise? Run. It's bats! Go, go, go!
Rolling in.
Wait, who's getting sucked in?
My dad. And I'm running. And so when Beverly was running and the bat was
Beverly
like on
again?
her.
Who's this Beverly?
I'm sorry. I'm thinking
Who's
of
Beverly, Caroline?
I'm thinking of Bonnie Hunt, and Bonnie Hunt is the actress that plays
Oh. But why
Sarah.
Beverly?
So I'm trying to remember which movie she was in, but I thought she played a Beverly. Hang on. I'm looking it up.
She probably did.
She's never played
If
a
not,
Beverly.
then this is going to look very, very bad for you.
It already does, because yeah, she's never played a Beverly. Maybe I'm confusing
Caroline, it's
her.
not even that late tonight. We started
It's
early.
not. It's not late at all. We did start early. Who is this Beverly? It'll come to me at some point. If it does, I'll scream it out like Robin Williams. But
I think you're just making this up. I don't know.
why would I make this up? What could I make it up from?
Your imagination.
Maybe.
She looks like a Beverly to you.
That might be it. She does look kind of like a Beverly to me. Why is her name Bonnie? It should be Beverly. But anyway, that moment when Sarah turns around and like there's a bat on her shoulder. So back to like this parking lot story. My dad's like, look up, look at the ceiling, and there's like all covered in bats. And we had to get into the Macy's, and there was like Macy's had an entrance that was on like one of the higher levels, so you could just like run into the store, and like it was like a ramp. It would connect or a bridge. It would connect the parking lot to the store, but like the store's third level. And so my dad is like, okay, on the count of 3, we're gonna get out of the car and we're gonna run to the entrance. And I remember when he said like 3, and we all got out of the car and we were running to the entrance of Macy's, and all I was hearing
Who was
around
holding
me,
the board game?
probably Davey. And
Okay.
and when we were running, all I was hearing was loud squeaks, and I remember thinking I felt a bat wing on my shoulder, and I screamed. And my dad, he got his jacket. Like what even like cemented my fear more was my dad, because he was wearing like this jacket. He opened up his jacket on one side. He wrapped me in it, and we both ran together in. And I was still like, even inside, I was like, and so when that scene happened with Sarah and the bats, I was like, having a Vietnam flashback to that
Yeah, I just
moment.
imagine little Chihuahua face and like bats
You're
flying around.
that's insulting to Chihuahuas because they're hideous. It was so scary, so terrifying. And
Does it bother? Do you know for sure? Well, actually, no. It sounded like you don't know for sure if a bat landed on you.
I don't. I don't. I thought I felt a bat wing on my shoulder, and
Does
then
that
when
bother you that you don't really
oh,
know if a bat ever really landed on you?
100%, 100%. That I never. I mean, I assume it must have for my dad to have gotten his jacket and wrapped me, and like we ran together. Like maybe he did see
What
a
if he
bat.
accidentally caught a bat and he wrapped a bat with the jacket over you?
I don't even want to think about that. That's too
Imagine a
terrifying.
bat was just hanging out
My skin, like I have
on your back.
goosebumps. I have goosebumps just even thinking about that. No, no way. My
What I
skin is
find funnier
crawling.
is that this was on the way to the mall. Like you guys, like a whole swarm of bats didn't stop you guys from shopping. This wasn't on the way out of the mall, right?
No, this was on the way in.
This was all right, gang. We have to run to the mall because this Black Friday deal is killer.
It was not Black Friday. I think we were going, but we were
I'm
going for
setting the
Christmas shopping.
scene.
We were going to buy presents, and I remember we had like a list of people that we had to like get a present for.
And your dad just said whatever it takes.
Well, because I think on that list was mom, and so he's like, "We gotta get her a present. We're not leaving without a present for mom."
How far was this run? From the
Uh,
car to the entrance.
I'm trying to map it in my brain. I'm not good at
How long did
distance
it
mapping.
feel? How long did it feel? How long did you feel like you were running?
Okay, so actual time, we might have been running for like 30, 45 seconds. It felt like 45 minutes. Yeah, I was like,
I'm surprised like one of you didn't become the Batman. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened in the comics.
I remember afterwards when we were, so obviously there was a return trip because we had to get back to the car after we've done all of our shopping. And this time I couldn't have my dad wrap me in his jacket because his hands were full of bags and my hands were full of bags, etc. And I remember we were at the exit of Macy's and my dad's like, "Okay, everybody ready? We're going to get to the car." And I was like, "I don't want to go out there, Dad. I don't want to go out there." And my dad's like, "Caroline, just look at me or look at the ground and run. Like don't look up. Just don't look up and run." And I was like, "I don't want to go out there, Dad." And he's like, "It's okay. I'm here. I'll be right in front of you. You just follow me and you run." And I was like, huh, huh. And then so we did. My dad opened the door and we sprinted and we were sprinting to the car. And when I got back into the car and all I was hearing this time though, because when we got there, the bats weren't flying. They were all there. And I thought they were flying when we ran into the store. No, when we came out was even scarier
I
because
was gonna ask you that.
they were flying around when we came back. And I was like, this is it. This is how I become Batman. I'm gonna assimilate.
This is your origin story.
This was my origin story.
It all started at the mall. Now I fight for Gotham.
I'm what Gotham needs me to be.
I'm whatever Texas needs me to be.
I'm what San Antonio needs me to be. I'm gonna make the South Side the North Side.
we're gonna make San Antonio look like the North Side.
I'm gonna bring Dunkin' Donuts to the South Side.
What else do they have? They have like a whole bunch of nice stuff.
They have Five Guys burgers and fries. They have Kohl's. They have
They got all the
touchscreen
good stuff.
Starbucks. They have Costco. We don't have a Costco in the South Side.
All of that you mentioned is not in the South Side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They have Dunkin' Donuts, like I said. They have
There was another one that you told me that I was
yeah.
shocked I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but
I can't remember it either, but I remember I told you something like that. I was like, we don't have that. I was even talking about that to my family too on Thanksgiving because my grandpa had this line that he always said where he was like, "The North Side's laughing at us." My grandpa would always say that, and for good reason. They have so much stuff up there.
they got it good.
They got it real good.
From what I hear.
This is it. I am becoming Batman. I'm what the South Side needs me to be.
I get it. Now I get it.
But yeah, so that was another thing on my doc was bats. Why did it have to be bats? Um, I think that was it because like I have right here like
This
Alan's
whole
dad,
doc, it just has bats. Why does it have to be
and
bats?
then it's like a list of the composer's movies
And
because I
Beverly. You just wrote Beverly on there.
Beverly, well, question mark, who is Beverly?
Why do you say that name?
Why did you say that name? Who's Beverly?
Beverly. Save Beverly.
I don't know if you've seen the thumbnail for our last episode preview of Elbow Nudge that I put
I
on
did, and I
YouTube.
saw it days later. I saw it days later.
I'm thinking this time for this episode, I'm gonna have to make like uh, put like Bonnie Hunt, like put older Sarah, and then next to it have Sarah crossed out, and then put Beverly. Like
Beverly question
that's
mark?
that's her new name.
Yeah, we got to figure out.
Who is this Beverly that's in my brain?
Yeah, if that's from nowhere, then yeah, it's just something
That
deteriorating in your mind.
when you say it like that, now I'm concerned.
Irreversibly.
Irre- Maybe I do need a break. I need to take some time away from all this studying and rest.
I think that might be it.
Another thing I had on my doc here. So there was a lot of people in line to play Alan Parrish, and I thought that the alternative Alan Parrish nobody can replace Robin Williams. I will say that right now. But I thought it's so interesting what people were considered to play Alan Parrish.
Oh, you looked
And
that up?
I did. It's on the Wikipedia. And
Who's on the
so
list?
Tom Hanks was number one. He was the first choice to play Alan Parrish. He turned it down.
Wow.
And then other stars were considered, including, here we go, Dan Aykroyd, Bruce Willis, Michael Keaton, Sean Penn, Kevin Costner, Richard Dreyfuss, Michael Douglas, Harrison Ford, Sean
Wow.
Connery, Bill Paxton, Bryan Cranston, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Alec Baldwin.
Bryan Cranston before he even blew up in anything. Like I don't think he was even doing Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, he wasn't. He did. Malcolm in the Middle was 2000. I think I'm trying to think of any movie that came out before 1995 because he was in Saving Private Ryan, but that was in late 90s. I'm looking at it right here. 98. Yeah, it was 98. What was he in before that? What was in 95?
I don't
Uh,
know.
I'm looking at. I don't see anything that stands out. Obviously, I think if anybody else was to look at his Wikipedia page, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a classic," but I don't see anything here that like is like, "Oh, it's a big one."
I think Tom Hanks would have been good too.
I feel like Robin Williams encompassed that child in a man's body kind of aspect that Alan had.
Yeah.
And I feel like because Tom Hanks, he was in Big, right? He was in Big. So he does that pretty well too. But I don't know. Robin Williams just had that charm about him. And that I'm trying to think of the word, but for lack of a better term, genuineness. He was genuine.
Keep trying. Oh, okay.
Sincerity. Another one is that so Christy Alley, I don't know if you know her, but she's in like trying to think of a movie that you would know Christy Alley in, but
Is she in the MCU?
nope.
All right. I probably won't know her.
She was considered to play Sarah, and then Scarlett Johansson was considered to play Judy.
Oh.
Scarlett Johansson has been acting since she was a kid. She was in
I know.
Slappy and the Stinkers.
What in the what?
Slappy and the Stinkers. That's
Never
like
heard of it.
what? Well, I know what we're watching next. It's a kids movie. It's like a typical slapstick. I'm trying to remember what year it came out, but like it's like your insert funny kid movie here. And it's about these oh, here it is, 98, and it's about these kids that they have this like there's like a SeaWorld knockoff nearby and in this
Okay.
town, and the seal gets loose. And these kids, this like group of kids, kind of like Little Rascals style kids, they just like fall in love with this seal and they just start treating it like one of them, and it's just like shenanigans, hijinks, and they want to get back to the aquarium, but then along the way there's like these bad guys that want to get the seal and sell him to like poachers or whatever, and it's just like it's just a funny movie. But Scarlett Johansson was like she's a little girl in that movie.
I remember Scarlett as a child actress, but I forgot what movie. But for that one, I'll say I would prefer. Well, I prefer the cast we got, but I'm just saying I
Yeah,
think Tom
yeah,
Hanks would have worked. Of course, it would be like different mannerisms and things like that that will change the emotion. But for this, I really like Kirsten Dunst because she seems more mature. She does seem like the big sister,
yeah.
and I really like that about her. I wouldn't get that from Scarlett. I can't remember what movie I'm thinking about. Was she in Home Alone? No. Was she in one of the, like a Halloween? I mean, a
Scarlett,
holiday movie?
look up her acting.
Her entire career.
It was a long. She was in Home Alone 3.
Oh, I saw Home Alone. I like Home Alone 3.
Yeah, I
That's
like
where I
Home Alone
remember her
3.
from.
She's the sister in
Yeah.
Home Alone 3.
Yeah. I like Kirsten better in the movie.
I think Kirsten worked. She definitely worked better than I feel like Scarlett Johansson, I don't want to knock on her, but she plays like the little sister. I just feel like she plays that kind of like mischievous little sister type versus
Yeah.
you said it very well. Kirsten Dunst, she looks like the big sister.
Yeah.
I would have loved just to have maybe in another timeline. I love
In
Robin
Earth 2.
Williams. I said in Earth 2. Arnold, the Terminator,
It would have been a completely different
Peter,
movie.
roll the dice,
Judy,
Peter.
roll it. Peter,
Who rolled the dice?
get the ox. The shed. that crocodile wrestling scene would have been completely different.
You
It
would
would have
have
been an action
legit.
scene.
Yeah. Full on Predator style. The table.
Like, yeah, a lot of yelling, and he would have won. Obviously, the crocodile would have died
He would
right
have
there in the
rest-
water. That crocodile would have went belly up, floating out of the house, dead.
Mom, Dad, I'm back.
Mother, father, I am back home.
uh again, we love Robin Williams. Man, that would have been beautiful.
We gotta invent interdimensional travel so we could see
We
these
need
alternate movies.
these MCU timelines, these alternate
Yeah.
timelines.
What if?
Yeah, what if
What if
Arnold
timeline?
was Alan Parrish? I always quote this around the house. But have you ever seen Kindergarten Cop starring Arnold?
Yeah, but I can't really remember it. I
There's,
know the plot, but not much else.
there's a scene and I can't remember the context, but I always quote it where it's like, it's not. Is that a tumor? It's not a tumor. And I always say that. Like Davey will tell my mom, like, "Oh, is that that?" My mom's like, "No, it's not that." I'm like, "It's not a tumor." And
You
then
didn't even
Davey,
replace tumor, you just say
no.
tumor still?
And then Davey always hits me back with Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's not truth serum. But I'm trying to think if that's anything else, but I think that's it on Jumanji.
So just bats? Why'd it have to be bats and Beverly?
Bats, Beverly, Battlestar Galactica.
That was I think that was a good breakdown, Caroline.
I'm glad you think so.
So you want to move on to our next recommended movie? At least for me.
Yeah.
All right, so the next movie is True Grit.
True Grit.
How about we start off as to why you recommended this movie to me?
So first of all, I have a doc in our Elbow Nudge Google Doc, and there's 3
I haven't
movies.
seen that in a while. How's it going over there?
It's mostly populated by me, so I don't mind. But there's a doc in there, and I had several movies I was going to recommend, but I couldn't decide on one yet. And then I saw the cast. So, like, just like first breakdown thought process, I was thinking about movies that I hadn't seen in a while because I wanted to recommend to you a movie that I have never talked to you about. Like I'm always talking about Oceans or any of the Studio Ghibli movies, a
Yeah.
Disney movie or a Pixar movie. I'm always talking about those to you. But I wanted to give you a movie that I hadn't spoken to you about. And I wanted it to be something that you would kind of go in blind. So that way, like, I couldn't have overhyped the movie for you. So that we'd be like, oh, okay, it was all right. I don't know why she talks so highly about this. No, I wanted to give you something that I haven't spoken to you about before. And so I was like racking my brain for what movies that might have been. So there were other movies on the list. And ultimately, when I was just kind of writing down and spitballing, I was like, you know what? What if I give him a Western? Like, what if I give him like, and I was thinking, what's a good Western that's not too long? Because a lot of the Westerns that I like are pretty old and they're pretty long. And I didn't want to give you one of those. So I thought, like, what's a good modern day Western? And it was like narrowed down to Magnificent Seven and True Grit. And then I was like, he's already seen Magnificent Seven. And so then I was like, all right, let me check out True Grit. And then I looked at the cast and I was like, yeah, he's watching this movie.
I had a feeling that might be one of the reasons because a lot of them are very relevant
Mm-hmm.
to my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But when you sent me this message, I thought True Grit? Oh, all right. Yeah. All right, this is probably like a crime movie or some fighting movie or whatever. All right, let me check it out. And then I type it in on Google, and then as soon as I see the images, no joke, my reaction is, "A Western? Oh, really?" And then I look at the cast, and I'm like, "Is that a young Haley Steinfeld? Wait, Josh Brolin?
Uh-huh.
Wait, Jeff Bridges?
Uh-huh.
Wait, Matt Damon?"
Uh-huh.
I'm like, all right, let's get this over with. You know I
Continue.
don't like
I
westerns.
know. I know.
You know I don't like westerns.
I just think you haven't seen a good one.
Magnificent Seven, is
Yeah,
that a
yeah,
good
yeah.
one?
There you go. You saw a good one. You liked it. It's not a
Can we
bad
rewind to
movie.
when you said, I think you haven't seen a good one?
Besides Magnificent Seven,
I saw Back to the Future 3,
I haven't seen that one.
and I saw another one with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know what's the name of that one.
Oh, Django? No. Oh,
No, not that one. I saw Django, yes. But this is when he was Kid DiCaprio.
I'm trying to remember what that was. It's gonna bother me. But I love True Grit. Also, like, I want to preface, after we record this, my parents want to see True Grit like tonight with the family. They want to do a little family movie night because I was
Oh,
telling
there you
them.
go.
Yeah, I was telling them. My mom was like, "Oh, what movie did you recommend?" I was like, "I told them to watch True Grit," and she's like, "Oh, now I want to watch True Grit."
Do a double feature.
Exactly.
Maybe throw in School of Rock. Who knows?
I'm getting her. I'm getting her around to that.
All right,
But
good.
but yeah. So I know you don't particularly like westerns, but I thought that this movie would be an addition to one of the good ones.
All right. So I can say this definitely is a good movie. It is.
Yes.
This hasn't won me over on westerns though. I'll say that.
No.
I don't think I'll watch it again. But to be fair, I wouldn't watch any westerns again. I wouldn't watch Magnificent Seven again. As good as they are, but I did enjoy it the first time through, and that's because it's a very simple story. It's just what's her name, Maddie, played
Mm-hmm.
by Haley Steinfeld.
Yep.
She's just basically seeking revenge for the death of her father.
Yeah.
She's seeking the man who killed her father. And I like that. It was a very easy story to follow, and you meet great characters along the way. And there's a lot of very I haven't seen enough westerns to say, but I would say a lot of good western themes. Am I right about that?
Yep. Yep.
And I'm not talking about literally boots and hats and stuff. I'm talking about
Boots and hats. Some boots and
like honor amongst each other and the way things are handled and the way people speak to each other and how yeah,
This
your
movie
word is
was
your bond.
Exactly. This movie, when it came out, was praised for being a true Western, like in today. Like, it came out in 2010, but still, like it was praised for being a true Western made in the modern era. And yeah, it really holds true to that. This is a true Western.
Are there westerns who are not? I mean, Western movies that are not representing the Western ideals all that good.
The thing was, is like there wasn't a lot of Western films made in like the modern era. I think the one of the Western movies around that time was like Cowboys versus Aliens, and that's like a play on that.
That was a good one.
And yeah, all right.
I'm kidding. I saw it in theaters. It was okay.
I too saw it in theaters, and I walked out whelmed. It's all right. But um I'm trying to think of any like true westerns. This movie and like Magnificent Seven stand out because they were like they're true westerns in today's society, like in today's film
And I guess Django too,
atmosphere. I haven't
or no?
seen Django, and
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't judge on that. Um, but yeah, like those movies are just considered like standout Western movies. A lot of the Westerns that I've seen, there are some like Western movie purists, I should say. That was the whole spaghetti Western era where these movies were directed by, I think, I don't want to like lose my Western card. If I remember correctly, I think
Here we go. It's all on the line. Don't look it up. Don't IMDb.
I
Let's
need
hear
it.
you say it.
I don't want to lose it.
Let's hear you
Yeah.
say it. Come
Okay, I
on.
was right. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly
You looked it up?
is a spaghetti Western. Spaghetti Western refers to a Western movie directed by an Italian director.
But did you look it up, Caroline?
Yes.
Ah.
I mean, my hunch was right.
We were rooting for
so-
you. We were all rooting for you.
Insert Tyra Banks
Yeah.
clip here.
All right, so that's actually interesting because I didn't know why it was called spaghetti western for a long time.
So there was a big thing in Hollywood that
So that's not racist?
I don't know. I feel like it is. I mean, I don't want to speak for the Italian community, but I feel like it kind of is. To just be like, you ain't from around these parts. What do you get off thinking that you can make a Western film when you ain't even from the West, like kind of thing. You will go back and eat your spaghetti with your spaghetti Western. Like it is kind of like but yeah, like movies like that. Even I have some family members. My family on one part of my family side, like on my parents' side. I don't want to say which one yet because it's too obvious. But I have family.
You know who you are.
Yeah, they. I don't think they listen, so I'm good. But I still don't want to say it. I
Recommend
have
it to them.
family that are like super Texan because I'm half Mexican. The other side is like super Texan, super Western cowboy kind of thing, and they anytime we talk about Western movies, they love John Wayne. They love John Wayne, who's like Western icon actor.
That's the
John
dude.
Wayne. That's
Yeah,
the dude.
the dude.
And I remember Davey and I a while back, I think before the school year started this year, so maybe like July, we had a Good, the Bad, and the Ugly marathon because it's 3 movies. 3 or 4 if I remember that Clint Eastwood stars in. And we were talking recently with that part of the family about westerns, and they were like, "Oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch like Unforgiven, and you got to watch like this movie." And we were talking about like other classic western movies. And then we casually said, "Oh yeah, we saw The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." And they were like, "That's not a real western." And that's like the staple for being a western movie. It's so good. That's the classic like like that's like the classic.
So why wasn't
western
it? Why isn't it a real western movie?
because it's spaghetti western. Like they were already writing it off like, "Oh, that's not a real western. It was directed by an Italian guy."
So
Like
they could
that
only
is
be
how-
Texan directors.
Not like Texan, but because like there's even like there was cowboys in New Mexico and like it's like a Midwestern, Southwestern kind of thing. Like
If I was
region.
Texan, I'll be even a bigger gatekeeper. I'll say, what, a new Mexican director? Nah,
You
you gotta be from Texas.
Texas born
The
and
home
bred.
star state, yeah.
But yeah, so there was like a stigma around that time, and even like some hold today that those type of movies are not real westerns. They're spaghetti westerns because They were directed by Italians. However, like a lot of those Western movies directed by Italians are great Westerns, like despite what some purists might say. And so jumping back on like True Grit and like just by relativity, Magnificent Seven, they embody a lot of the Western themes, but they don't have that runtime because a lot of the old Westerns are long. The Searchers is a long movie, and that's a classic Western, but it's so long.
Are they worth the length? Do
Yeah,
they
they
make
are.
good use of it?
The Searchers is, I might be biased in saying this because it's like a family held, beloved movie, but The Searchers is one of the best Westerns just of all time. And it's a little dated, so it's kind of like Gone with the Wind. There are some things that do not translate well to today's political climate, but it's a great Western movie.
Gone with the Wind doesn't translate well?
There's a reason why like HBO Max has a title card in front of it where it's like this movie isn't product of the times.
Oh, really?
We do not. Yeah, they have like a title card in like the first 5 or 8 like 10 seconds in front of it says like this movie was made at a different culture and different views of the times and we do not reflect these views today kind of thing.
I got to see what they're talking about.
It's a good movie. But like back on to True Grit, it embodies that like Western feel. And a lot of films, I think it's really rare for a Western film to kind of embody that. Because I think a lot of times today, there are some Western movies, I can't remember off the top of my head, that have come out, but they're kind of gory or they're very action packed, but too action packed. With a Western, there's always a balance. You've got to have horse riding, you got to have action, and you got to have that heart, that honor of a cowboy and the law, the Wild West kind of feel, the law and going outside the law, all of that.
You got to have drunkards. You got to have mustaches.
You got to have a saloon.
You got to have guns.
You got to have a horse.
Got to have a horse, for sure. You got to have sand everywhere.
But yeah, continue. I don't want to take too much time rambling on about this. I want to hear your thoughts about the movie.
So, yeah, like I said, overall, it was good. It was good. And the standout, obviously, it was Haley.
Oh yeah.
She
Oh
was
yeah.
great. And I didn't know she was going to have such a big role in this movie. When I saw her picture just randomly on the Google Images when I typed in the name of the movie, I thought she was going to be a side character. But she is the star of the show, I would say. She really steals the scenes.
This is her theatrical debut. This is her first ever acting role.
Really? I was wondering that.
She's 13 years old, and this was her first ever role. And it's funny you say that because she is like the main character in a way. But when it comes to like, we'll get into it more later, but like when it came to the Oscars, she was nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, even though she
Wow.
the runtime of like the star.
She got snubbed.
She did get a little bit snubbed. I mean, at least she was nominated at 13 for an Oscar, but still, like, yeah, it's like she wasn't really. She was kind of like the main actress.
I think she's a very good actress, and she's not being used to her full potential in a lot of things that she's in.
Yeah, yeah. Good in Bumblebee. I don't know if you.
I've seen Bumblebee. I've seen Edge of 17. I've seen Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
I've seen 1.5 episodes of Hawkeye. And
Oh, I haven't seen that. I need to.
and in all those movies, well, Bumblebee, you know, it was what it was. I would say, and Hawkeye specifically, when I was watching it, there's scenes where I think, wow, she's actually really good. She's a really good actress, and I feel like she could be way better if the story called for it, for her to be better. Like this, I think, oddly enough, I think this was her best role, showing how well she can act. Well, Edge of 17 was actually pretty good too, but I just felt like the story was, it was kind of like a slice of life movie. That's why I thought it was all right. But yeah, in True Grit, she was just smart, determined. She was very mature and well spoken, and quick witted.
Oh yeah, she was able to like. I think at the beginning of this recording, we were trying to mouth off a lot of tongue twisters. she was saying words on the fly. I was watching a little bit of it before you texted me to watch Jumanji, and she was saying like when she was intimidating the horse salesman or guy who owned the stable. She was like, "I'll have the lawyer write you a writ of replevin," and he was like, "A writ of what?"
Mr. Stonehill. But yeah, go ahead.
She was able to say words just right then and there, no tongue twisters. She didn't stop or stutter anything.
Yeah, she had really dense dialogue scenes, and she said them flawlessly. And she was able to negotiate beautifully. She was a really great character. And again, we're gonna jump around for this one too.
Jump around. Yeah,
But when
do
she was getting spanked by
it.
Matt Damon,
Uh-huh.
what was his name? LaBeef?
LaBeouf. LaBeef.
Nah, his name was LaBeef. That's what I heard.
Let's go, LaBeef.
Everyone called him LaBeef. Yeah, when she was getting spanked by him, it was so awkward to watch because awkward and sad because I've all this time you see her as very mature and held together, and then when she's getting spanked like that, it's like, oh no, she is a little girl. That sucks. I don't want to see her like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And also, now that I remember it, when he's waiting for her to wake up, and then he mentions how he would have kissed her, he was debating like kissing her. What is that about?
Yeah.
That is so
I was like,
gross.
I was like,
Is
hold up, LaBeef.
is this cool back in the Western times to just
something, something. Yeah. Well,
kissing on little girls?
yes. Um, that is something that is not said, but the film is called True Grit because it's supposed to be very accurate to also I should mention this there is a movie called True Grit that was made in
A long time ago.
1969. Hey, that's Jumanji time.
So this is when Alan
There's
and Sarah
no
were.
such thing as a coincidence.
Wow.
There was a movie that came out in 1969 called True Grit, and it starred the big guy John Wayne, and it's very different from this movie, very different. John Wayne liked to portray the West as the way he like
The best.
kind of a lot of his movies, yeah, like there is some grittiness in it and some like there's some action and there are some parts that are like ooh, but ultimately there's like either a happy ending or what's it called, like a hero, a good versus evil kind of thing and things like that. Like he likes to portray it a little bit more lighter, but they like when the Coen brothers wanted to do this movie, they were like, we're not gonna even consider the 69 movie. We're gonna consider this is based off of a book that came out a long time ago. I can't remember the year exactly, but they based it off the book and the
Before
reason it's called
1969.
before 1969. And the book is called True Grit because it's supposed to like we have this story to follow, but also it's meant to show the true grittiness that was the West and all of the things that came with it at that time. And like that scene with spanking and that scene of like a kiss and everything, that's all part of it.
So I'm pretty sure they showed it very lightly. I'm assuming it was a lot worse.
If you're
You
talking
know
about
what
the
I'm saying?
yeah. I
Because
mean,
those are
I
really
don't
the only scenes, and they didn't really step over any boundaries.
yeah. I mean, according to what I read about like this movie, the Coen brothers wanted to adapt the book pretty faithfully, so I think that was the extent of it.
Yeah, I was just so caught off guard by that because I was thinking, is this a normal thing during this time, or am I supposed to believe Matt Damon is a lot younger than he looks in the movie? And
I
then I
mean
had
that
to quickly Google, like, how old is Matt Damon in True Grit? 40. How old is Haley Steinfeld in True Grit?
13.
13.
Yep.
This is a problem.
Yep. Welcome to the West.
Log him up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Drag him by the horse.
FBI, open up.
So, okay, now I get it.
Hashtag LaBeef is over party.
He's no longer the Texas Ranger. Now it's Chuck Norris.
He would have found Tom Chaney in a second and brought him back
Oh, absolutely. He would have done it for free.
for free.
He would have brought him in alive.
Would have gotten that happy ending ish.
Do you think this movie was a happy ending?
I think it was a real ending.
Okay. I never felt like she, for me to say it because this whole movie is based on getting revenge for him, but I never saw her grieving or mourning him or thinking about him. I feel like I didn't get that.
I feel like her character, she's very no nonsense. And she's grown up really quickly. I feel like she cared immensely about her father. That's why she even wants to, get revenge for that reason. But she's not the type of person to be sentimental over it. She's not the type of person to dwell on it too much. And maybe because if she does, she won't be able to stop being emotional or cry. And she's in a setting where she absolutely doesn't want anyone to see her weak because they're already underestimating her.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was saying. It's kind of weird for me to say it because the whole movie is literally based off of his death, and the whole motivation that she's doing this for is because of him. But I guess this is the way she goes about it. Even seeing him just laying in the coffin.
Yeah, if you'd like to kiss him, that would be all right.
Yeah, he repeats it.
If you'd like to sleep in a coffin, that would be all right.
So also, I was trying to guess while I was watching the movie who's gonna be who. I was trying to guess, all right, who's gonna be the bad guy? Who's gonna be the murderer? And I was thinking, all right, not Matt Damon. He can't pull that off. And I was thinking, all right, it could be Jeff Bridges or it could be Josh Brolin. And eventually I landed on Josh because he just got that bad guy aura.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was right. Except I was a little bit Ryan Johnson on him because he's not the big bad. He's kind of a dope.
Yep.
I wasn't
He
let down by it though. I was just caught by surprise.
Trying to remember how that went because I didn't finish the movie. I went and I saw Jumanji, but Cheney works for the gang, right?
Yeah, I forgot his name. Dan something or Ned something
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah. Oh. Pepper. Ned Pepper.
Ned Pepper. Okay.
Ned Pepper.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's just like I don't know, the lackey or something from that gang.
He's who Maddie wants dead.
Yeah. But I liked how that was handled because she just comes across him. I don't know how they cross paths actually. I guess they were being followed or they were on the right trail and they ran into him, but they just see him one random morning and I think he's trying to steal a horse, right? Or yeah, he looks like he's trying to steal a horse. And then this is Maddie's chance to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
She has a gun in her hand, and I love that she actually gets knocked back from the gunshot.
Yeah.
Like she goes for the shot, but she like falls back into the water. But then the way that she got taken, I felt like, oh, that kind of sucks. I think she could have got out of it. She would have started running earlier, but I know the movie has to happen. But I feel like she could have easily ran away from him. And even when she was captured and held by him, I feel like she could have fought a little bit more.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit difficult because the movie sets her up as being this tough girl, and she spends the whole movie impressing you. And then it is a little odd to see, in this moment of like there he is, all of a sudden it's like kind of plot convenience of, oh, she gets captured, even though we've spent all this time showing how she has good ingenuity, she's strong, she's quick on her feet, she's all these things, but when the time came to it, she got captured by Cheney.
But they established that she can be captured by grown men, and that
Hmm.
just makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have done it just a little bit differently. And this is a nitpick. It really doesn't affect the story or the quality. Because I felt like he's already coming after you and he says, all right, now you're coming with me. She could have started running already, easily. She would have been running. But okay, and then when he grabs her, I felt like she could have been hitting him some more or like throwing herself to the ground or whatever, but she was kind of just walking with him. But it's all good. The movie had to happen. And
Were
then
there
to jump
any
ahead,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
huh?
yeah. Do it, do it. I was just about to ask, um, any scenes that stood out, but jump ahead.
I think it was a satisfying conclusion for her to get the final kill on
Yeah,
Cheney.
yeah,
And I like that she said, "Stand up, Cheney." I don't know if that's word for word. She's like, "Stand up, because we're gonna do this right." And this goes back to the honor thing of the westerns.
yeah,
She's like, "I'm not gonna shoot you when you're down on your back or on your knees. Stand up, and I'm gonna kill you off properly." And then again, she gets blown back into this huge ditch. And then we have snakes.
Why
Why'd it
did it
have to
have
be
to be
snakes?
snakes?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
But it was cool, and this was another to relate it to Jumanji. This was another theme of the movie of people getting together and having to look after each other like family. Really. What was his name again?
Rooster!
Rooster,
Rooster,
yeah.
Rooster Cogburn,
Rooster Cogburn, yeah.
U.S. Marshal.
I really like when he was you kind of expected it, but he's be when Maddie is pinned down earlier and I think it's Ned, right? That's about to shoot her.
Yeah,
He's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead. She means nothing to me. She's a runaway. Yeah, if you think that's what's best, yeah, shoot her. Who cares?" But in reality, that's the whole play.
exactly. And the one of the things that like really touched me was the desperation to jump ahead. Like after she gets bit by that snake, he is on a mission to like get her
Oh
to
yeah, he goes
get
down there
help.
himself,
Yeah.
Bear Grylls style, no holding back, to pull her out. Sucks the venom out of her hand after she gets bit.
Fun fact, if that ever actually happens, like if you ever come up like if you and another person ever like one person gets bit by a snake
I'm gonna jot this
and
down.
and you have to suck out the poison, like you being figuratively talking to like listener and you as well, Tony, if you have to ever be in a position to suck out snake venom,
Yeah.
you cannot have no cavities. You can't have any cavities
Why? What happens?
because then that venom gets in your bloodstream.
Oh, that really sucks.
Yeah. You
So I'm
gotta
not
have
gonna be saving anyone.
you got a cavity?
Sorry. Yeah, I do.
I had to get a crown, I think like 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, because I had a cavity on a tooth and then the tooth was still like there was a cavity developed next to where it got filled.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, yeah, you just need a crown. But yeah, if you ever have to have to suck snake venom
Say that
out
one
of
more time.
if if you have to do a little sucky sucky of snake
On
venom
this on the snuck venom.
on the snuck venom, you can't have any cavities.
What if I'm really careful? I just sip at it. Take a little sip, spit it out. Take a little sip, spit it out. Very careful.
I mean, suck at your own risk.
Remember that, guys. This is a message of today.
No, no, this will not be my legacy.
This is gonna be the title of the episode.
It, it better not. Talking about snake bites, everyone.
That's
Snake
gonna be
bite,
the final words
snake
of this
bite venom.
podcast. No, people already
Snake
heard the
bite
message.
venom.
Oh, what were we talking about?
When she got bit by a snake and he was sucking the venom out.
Sure.
That's
Right.
what we were talking about, Tony.
Yeah, I know. You want to stay on this?
I want to hear your takes on what were some good parts for you, some good lines, good scenes.
One of my favorite lines, and the whole point of the movie, is when Maddie goes up to Rooster and she says, "They tell me you're a man with true grit." So this is both movies have name drops in them.
Roll
I want to
credits.
make that connection,
Yeah, they do.
and I like that. And Jumanji even had Peter look at the camera and break the fourth wall. And I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for Maddie to have done the same. Probably give a wink to the camera after she said True Grit. If I was a director, there'll be a lot of winking at the camera.
There would be a lot of winking at the camera. What would be your trope? Would that be like your J.J. Abrams and his lens flares? You would have at least one title drop with a wink.
It doesn't have to be a title drop. It just has to be a reference or something that the whole audience is in on, like a joke. And it just has to be that. Just once they say it, look at the camera and wink.
I'm getting real Cat in the Hat vibes from this.
Wink in the gun. When does the Cat in the Hat do this?
I can't remember the scene specifically, but I feel like there is a scene where the cat looks at the audience and winks.
He looks at the camera when he's a piñata and they hit him
Yeah, but
right
he's
in
not.
his.
Yeah, he's not winking though. He's
No, there's no wink.
he's fearing for his life.
And that's my favorite scene.
I'm easy. We gotta watch that movie. For
Wait,
the
what's the
pod.
song?
I'm easy like Sunday
Oh
morning.
yeah, it said I'm easy. I can't believe that's a movie that people consider bad, and that stopped like all future Dr. Seuss movies. It was so good.
It was so good for us who were around that age and saw it at the right age. But that was like the movie that the Dr. Seuss estate was like, you're done. No more.
I'm gonna rewatch it with my elder mind and
I
see if I
want to
still like
rewatch
it.
it. Oh, I love
Yeah,
it. That was a movie I would watch all the time because I like the soundtrack.
it's great.
It's almost like a live action Shrek movie for me. It was real good.
Because it has Mike Myers.
Yes.
What movie did Mike Myers do after that? Did that end his career as well?
Oh, I like this tangent that we're on.
Oh no, I think it
Sorry.
was The Love Guru, actually.
Oh, you know what?
It
I
was a
think
Love Guru. Yeah.
I think it was The Love Guru.
Did you see that one? Because I haven't.
Nope, did not see it.
That's probably the next movie on my list.
The Love Guru?
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself?
To see if it's as bad as people say it is, just like Cat in the Hat. And maybe I'm missing out on something really good.
You know what? The Cat in the Hat did not end Mike Myers' career because the very next year he starred in one of the greatest movies of all time.
Shrek the
Shrek
third?
2.
Oh, Shrek 2.
Shrek 2.
Wow, so it catapulted his career.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One of the greatest movies of all time. Is Shrek 2.
It really is.
I could go on forever with this. I think there's a meme of like this guy at a basketball game and he's holding this girl and he's got his hand up and he's like yelling at her and the girl's just staring forward and he's like, you don't understand.
He has
Like
his hand around her neck.
yeah,
It's a baseball game, isn't it?
yeah. It was a sporting event. That's what I remember. That is a perfect example of me talking about Shrek 2 to Ashley. That has happened so many times where I'm like, Ash, you don't understand. It's the greatest sequel to ever be made.
I thought this is a movie you both enjoy. She's a hostage in this situation.
No. Like she likes Shrek 2 too as well. I was gonna say Shrek 2 too, but
Say
she
it.
likes
Shrek
she
2
likes
too.
she likes Shrek 2 too. However, I could go on forever about why it's amazing. She's like, and I'm like, it's this, it's that, and she's like,
You're probably No Man's Skying it.
What do you mean?
You're overpromising this
You
movie.
don't overpromise with Shrek 2. Shrek 2 always delivers.
I don't know. I believe that as well, but with the way that you talk about it, maybe.
Tony,
Huh?
Shrek 2 always delivers. Always.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Always delivers.
That's the one where they sing "I Need a Hero," or is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, all the good ones are in that one. You're right.
Oh yeah.
All the
Always
great
delivers.
moments.
But back to True Grit.
Yeah, True Grit. Great movie. On a scale from 0 to Shrek 2,
Oh, that's
maybe like a
infinity.
7.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I enjoyed it my first time through. But again, I don't know if I'll watch it again. I'll recommend it to people who like Westerns. Do you know a lot of people who like Westerns?
I know a lot of people who like Westerns.
I think you're in the place for that, right?
Yeah. If you
But
were to
this is the
see...
wrong kind of Western, like we went over. This is a spaghetti Western.
No. True Grit is not a spaghetti Western. True Grit is a
Oh,
Western.
so it's legit. It's a real Western.
This is a Western.
Oh. Oh, yeah. So this is a masterpiece.
And then filming, like the settings were shot in New Mexico and Austin, and I think Granger, Texas. So this is a very true Western film.
What's the score on this one, Caroline? Can you look that one up?
The Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah,
Oh, I did. I looked it up. You want to guess it?
90.
If this is Price is Right, you've won. It's 95.
Wow.
It's
Critics
certified fresh. Yeah, critics, 95.
and the fans?
You want to guess it?
95.
No, it's 85.
That's strange.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up some of these critiques.
Maybe most of these critics are from Texas.
We're too hard on it.
No, the critics, not the fans. Maybe most of the critics are from Texas.
Yeah, we're like, loved it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Make more films in Texas. So a lot of these reviews are good. I'm looking at one of the. I think I see why some people. Okay, I didn't account for that. Remember, I told you John Wayne was the big guy.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah. And so one of the rotten reviews is like, wholly unnecessary remake with every major event. Why divert from the 1969 film?
You know what? I totally get that.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to respect the original.
So, and I told you there are some like Western purists, and John Wayne is the dude. So they're probably like, how could they replace John Wayne with Jeff Bridges? Like, how could they
That's
think about
their Tobey Maguire. I totally
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. How could they replace like why would they want to remake this classic and only to like not have like the original cast? John Wayne makes the movie kind of thing. But you know what? I don't want to out my mom here. She prefers the 2010.
Can you say that one more time?
Nope.
My
One and done.
what?
One and done.
I really didn't hear what you said. my
Dang
my
it.
headphone came out of my ear.
Well,
Did you
that's
say something
too
cool?
bad. You'll listen back to it
All
later.
right, I'll hear it back. All right, so I'll say one last scene, and then I have a question.
Okay.
So the last scene that I thought was memorable. Well, there was a lot of the Haley Steinfeld scenes are really good, but I think the most obvious one is the shootout, the 1v4.
Yeah.
That was really good, and I'm sure that was that was probably like the end game Avengers Assemble moment for like Texans,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure everybody was hooting and hollering during the scene. Am I right?
Can you say that one more time?
Hooting and hollering.
Hooting. Make it sound like owls. Hoot, hoot. It's hooting
Hooting,
and hollering.
hooting, hooting and hollering and spitting in jars and sliding over loggers
Hooting and
to each other
hollering.
and clanking boots and tipping hats to the seat. Just- I just thought of something. I wanna edit. You know those theater reactions? Like if you watch uh Avengers theater reactions.
Oh yeah.
And then like everybody going wild.
Like there's
I
that
gotta
scene of
edit
like all
it.
these people at like they did that for Cyberpunk, all those people at the bar and they look up at the TV and like when
Yeah,
Keanu
just like
comes out,
that.
they're like, wow.
Just like that, just like that. So for this 1v4, gotta put that scene at the bar and everybody going wild. And then gotta edit all those 10-gallon hats on them.
A bunch of yeehaws.
That's what I imagine the theater looks like when this came
Woo!
out in Texas and New Mexico.
We were hooting and hollering.
No, but yeah, that was a good scene and it felt very realistic. He didn't take them all out John Wick style. It was an actual fight, and he got
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
But he landed some really good shots too. And the Texas Ranger himself, lay beef. He came in
Levite.
clutch as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That
he
was
did.
that was overall just a really good scene. But I thought he died. When you knock somebody over the head with a giant rock like that, you're supposed to
Uh-huh.
be dead.
The movie does not, you know how it kind of leaves his fate ambiguous. Um in the 1969 movie, he does die. Like just definitively. He dies. But in
Well,
the
when he gets hit with a rock?
yeah, he dies.
Okay.
But in I assume the novel, because this movie wanted to be a faithful adaptation of the novel. It's unknown his fate. So I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know? We know he lived.
Did he? I thought
Yeah,
I
but
thought it
not
was
not at the
unknown.
very end when she grows up. You know what I'm saying, right? Am I explaining myself right?
Yeah. I'm trying to
She
remember.
survives a big knock to the head with a giant rock. That's the part
Yeah, I
that
know
I'm surprised about.
he says, what was it? Rooster Cogburn says like, I'll send help, when I get her to I'll send help when I get her stable or something like that. And then she writes like years later. She never knew what happened. Like she never knew the fate of
Yeah, that part, yeah. That is left a mystery. I was just saying, as soon as Cheney knocked him over the head with a giant rock, that should have been an instant kill.
Yeah.
But when Maddie said, uh,
Maddie.
to the beef,
Yeah.
are you still alive? That's when I knew he was alive, at least to finish off that final scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good finale. Yeah, it wasn't a big reunion, happy ending, like you mentioned. It was realistic. She looks pretty cool without half her arm. It's a look.
It's a look.
It's a look, yeah. And it's funny because she grew up to be the exact person you thought she would be.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty neat too.
But now I want to bring up westerns in general.
Oh boy.
This was a people are bringing up, not currently, but I read a lot over the years. People bring up westerns and compare them to comic book movies because there was a time when there was so many westerns, it dominated the theaters until it eventually went away. Because there were so many, it oversaturated the market. People are still waiting for that to happen with comic book movies.
For it to go away.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's just gonna get oversaturated, and I think it will happen. I
Yeah.
think it will happen, but I don't know how
Eventually.
close we are to it.
Part of the journey is the end. Yeah, I don't know how close we are to it, especially with the mastermind that is Kevin Feige in his cork board. But and then plus these superhero movies to this day are continuing to be the money makers. So
Right.
you'll know it's the end when a superhero movie flops, but like a big one,
Oh, there's been. Oh, okay.
like a big one, a big super like a D,
Financially, right?
yeah, like a DC or Marvel movie, specifically a Marvel, just does not make its money back. Like
Well, we
that's
got our first rotten Marvel movie, so that's cool.
that's true, that's true. But did
This may be a sign.
it made money, didn't it?
I think so.
It made its money back.
I haven't been following it that closely, but
Neither have I.
yeah, it's not doing too bad.
So yeah, I think even though like they might not be good in quality, which we are seeing a little dip in that, um, the money is still there. So I think we're still in the era of superhero or comic book films.
Well, the reason I bring that up, not to really talk about comic book movies, I brought it up to really just emphasize how big westerns were for a time, like huge. And
You
now, yeah, it really did die out. Um, but why specifically? Because this did have a connection with a lot of people, obviously, since it was so popular. And not everyone grew up in this kind of like you have this connection because you're from Texas, right? Like a lot of these things are personal to you, and you have some sort of relation to them. But for a lot of people, this isn't how people grew up. It's just a movie that spoke to them. So I was gonna ask you, what are the other reasons why you like westerns besides it being just, filmed in your hometown or about themes that you grew up with? Is there like anything else? Like, is there classic stories that you like about them? Is there like characters that you like about them? Like, what specifically?
make it sound as if I grew up on the range, roping
You
in
didn't?
roping in dogies and
That's the exact idea I had whenever you explain your
getting
childhood.
up getting up early, get some eggs from the chicken coop. I did
Running
not
to the mall/saloon. Run away from bats in the barn,
This reminds me of when
rolling up in a wagon. Yeah, what
last
happened?
year when Carl, when we were planning this trip, like y'all's trip initially the first time, Carl asked me a question of, Carolyn, do y'all have roads in Texas?
That are
And
dirt roads.
yeah, do y'all have cars and not rickshaw wagons? And
You don't have to go over this with me because I've played Red Dead, so I know exactly what it looks
tell
like over there. But more specifically to the movie, I'm saying, like, basically, I'll be able to explain to you why I like mafia movies, disconnecting the parts of like it being in New York and stuff like that. That's basically what I want from you. Like, if you disconnect things that make it like really personal to you, like, what are the themes that you like about it, or the characters that you like about it?
yeah, it's a little hard to, I guess, pinpoint it, but and it's a little hard to word or express things that are related to upbringing. Uh, a lot of it is personal because like um my mother loves western, but she loves westerns because her father loves westerns, and that just kind of passed down, and she would show us westerns all the time. But just I'm thinking about it from now, trying to shift my mindset to a uh critical thinking kind of way, like looking at it, what's the word? Objective instead of subjective, or the other way around. I can't really remember, but first I love horses. This is silly, but I love horses. Uh
Horses?
I love horses. I
No, I'm
used to be
kidding.
a big
Yeah, go
horse
on.
girl. I used to be a big horse girl. Like I had blankets and quilts. I had plush
Used
toys
to be.
that
You don't like horses anymore?
Davy would say otherwise. Um
Do you still have a horse framed picture in your room or something?
I have a horse bookend.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. um but I love horses. I love the settings of westerns. I love the stories of this wild west kind of, we're not so different, you and I. Just the mafia and westerns are the same kind of things. The law doesn't apply to those people. And but like in westerns, there's that sense of honor, that cowboy honor. They always have those sweeping songs and orchestras. Um there's always kind of that grittiness to it. I love the chivalrous cowboy, like the ma'am kind of thing. I love that. That's like quick way to my heart is the chivalrous cowboy like
Tip of the
character.
hat and calling you ma'am.
Yes.
All
Oh
right.
my God. Any man does that to me and I'm weak. My
How
knees
big
get
does the hat
shaky.
have to be?
No, not big. I don't want a silly, like, what's his name? Doug Dimmadog or Doug Dimmadog.
Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
Yeah, I don't want no hat like that. But there's like
Oh, that's bad.
there's a movie called The Man from Snowy River, and that's a Western movie. And there's this scene where he's like a farm boy, but he dresses real like nice and Western. He's got this hat, this cowboy hat, and he goes up to the girl, puts his boot up on one of the fences, and he's like, "Ma'am," and I'm like, "Oh, oh, oh!" That just gets me in my Texan bones. So good. Um, there's always like the thing with Western stories is there's always something at stake that's like worth fighting for. So it's like the family honor or the ranch or
The horse.
the horse or like it's like they're like just I know I'm gonna mention like other Western movies, but like The Man from Snowy River is like an underdog story because he's a poor boy, but he's trying to make it big in this world, and he does it by like ranching. So he wrangles up all of the like the cows, like he does all the wrangling, and he's trying to prove himself. And it's an underdog story and how he makes it big in this Western setting. And then there's like other movies like The Searchers, and The Searchers is like it stars John Wayne, but it's like his niece gets abducted, and so they start going out and searching for her, and they have to like fight these Native Americans, and there's always something worth fighting for and something at stake, and it's always going to be like nitty and gritty. You always have that classic standoff scene that's just so cool. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else. There's always like these awesome. settings or like shots of them riding horses over like a sunset or a background, and that silhouette of the,
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
yeah, like the man on the horse and they're just riding is so like satisfying. So cool.
I've seen The Mandalorian. I've seen where the inspiration comes from. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that is a big reason why I love The Mandalorian. That's a huge reason. A lot of the inspo of Mando comes from like the Clint Eastwood movies, the John Wayne movies, the way he walks. I think John Favreau specifically told Pascal, like, I want you to walk like Clint Eastwood walks in The
Like
Good, the
you
Bad,
have
and
a
the
heavy
Ugly.
holster.
Yeah. Walk like you've got like I can't remember the words he used exactly, but it was something
Walk like
like
you've got it.
it was like walk like it was something like along the lines of like walk like you have no fear. Like walk steady, solid. He walks like sure steps, if that makes sense.
Oh, he
But
got it.
yeah, oh,
He
he's
figured
got
it
it.
out.
He's got that walk. And
Yeah.
that walk was perfected by so many cowboy movies before that, like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. Like they have this like steady, like that's the thing too. A lot of these characters, a lot of the guys, they're like true grit men, insert name drop there, but like with hearts of gold, and they're not like, because there's a lot of times in movies where in these Western movies where they'll see like wrongdoing happening, like shenanigans or some crime, and they're thinking like they have that moment where they think to themselves, should I just get on this horse and ride away? And then like the more they hear people like screaming for help and stuff, they just can't like bring themselves to leave, so they make that decision like, nope, I'm going to go in and help. And it's just that, I don't know, I think part of it also is, even though there's not a lot of quote chivalry in Western movies, there is that like cowboy honor, that like Western honor.
Yeah.
And part of that is like the reason why I like
The cowboy
medieval, and
code.
yeah, like part of that is also like why I love knights and like Western movies, the Western medieval movies so much, is just that I like it when they have that sense of honor, that sense of like chivalry, that code that they'll stand by. I love things like that.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I just wanted to hear you out. No wrong answers.
I almost feel like, all right, I need to see why she likes this stuff. I don't get it.
That's exactly what this is about.
Oh my goodness.
No, I get it because I like the honor is something that I brought up too. I do like that. I like the way they speak, but I don't know. I guess it's just I really can't pinpoint it yet why it doesn't catch me in a certain way to like rewatch it and things like that. I don't know if it's a setting,
I think
the
you
time
pinpointed it
period.
with like the mafia movies with you. Like it's just kind of, I don't know. It could just be like it's just part of that. It's just part of that personal part. It's part of like a little bit of that upbringing, a little bit of that familiarity with it, and like just being born and raised in Texas and having that connection to it, and knowing like my ancestors were that. My great grandfather, my grandfather, they were cowboys. So like that's in us. Like that's in it. And to see that is like seeing a reflection of your history. And then just, that's one piece of that large jigsaw puzzle where, other parts of it is just great storytelling and horses, like everything that I just listed. It's just it all comes together to form like that kind of Western love. And then like for you, that could be the same thing said about, your mafia movies or even your comic book movies, to an extent, and things like that.
I guess so. It's probably something I'm overlooking, even though
I
I don't
gu-
want to admit it.
guarantee if you were born and raised in Texas, I wouldn't have to explain a thing.
Yeah, I'll probably be a completely different man. I'll definitely say y'all a lot.
You wouldn't be no city slicker.
That'll be strange.
Y'all?
Yeah.
Can you say y'all?
Huh?
Can you say it?
I did say it.
We're like, try saying it in a sentence.
Nah.
Ah!
All right, and one last thing I remembered, and this doesn't even have to do with the plot, but was Rooster fat? He calls himself fat. Ned calls him fat.
He is pretty chunky.
I don't see that.
You got a little bit of that Boba Fett belly.
Not even. No. No.
What helps is that he's wearing black.
That Boba Belly is rotund. But I did see him when he was in his little sleeper pajama. He did have something there. He did have a little gut, but I wouldn't call him fat.
Maybe it's just because of like compared to other marshals. A marshal is considered to be more
Fit.
maybe, yeah. There was a scene where he's like on the horse and he's leaning back and he's like sticking out his panza.
And you thought, yep, that looks like Boba to me.
Not Boba specifically, but I was like, he's kind of chunk.
I found it very strange. I'm like, fat? That's fat. There's a fatter guy on Ned's crew,
That's
and he's
true.
a fat guy? I didn't get it. But either way, I mean, he called himself fat, so I guess
I
he opened it
also
up to everyone else.
I also wanted to ask you, so Josh Brolin is in this movie.
Yeah.
Did you have any scenes?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it was like when he had Maddie hostage, and there was one line, I wish I wrote it down, but I'm like, yep, that's Thanos right there. I heard it. He dropped the accent and I heard Thanos. Yep. Yep. I'm gonna have to rewatch the movie and I'll send you the link.
It's a shame I can't get you to say it right here on the recording. I could make a part 2 to that episode preview.
Yeah, I don't remember. I should have wrote it down, but I did hear it. I heard it and I thought, wow, he dropped his accent. But oh well, it's all good.
So
But yeah, that's
overall, if you had to
huh?
give it a score, what would you give it again? 7 out of 10?
Oh, I wouldn't want to score it because I feel like I would recommend it. I feel like it's a very good movie.
I feel like you're just saying that to spare my feelings because you would actually
No,
score it
trust me,
pretty
I
low.
would knock down Quest for Camelot easily.
Hey,
Easily.
how
Any movie I
dare
don't
you?
like, I'll let you know. But this, I can, because I can separate it, I can tell it's a very good movie. It's just not for me, And if I give it a 7, it's my 7. It's not a 7 for other people.
Well, yeah, give it your score. Don't worry about other
All
people.
right, so 3.
Why did I ask?
I'm kidding. No, yeah, I'll say like a 7. 7. I'll stay with that.
I still feel like you're being nice, but okay, I'll take it.
All right, fine. Which number do you like? 5?
No, 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 no.
5.
I want you to be honest with me.
All right,
That's all.
5. 5 out of 10.
That feels honest. I'll take it.
5 out of 10. Approved by Caroline.
I mean, my score would be very different, but I don't want to muddy the waters. I already gave mine for Jumanji.
10 out of 10 for True Grit. I am
Jumanji.
curious about your score. Is it a 10 out of 10? Is that a 10 out of 10 Western for you?
This movie is a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen the best yet. You know?
This is the thing is that this is a personal like 8.5 out of 10. I'm not like scoring it on like based on out of all Western movies or out of all
Oh,
this,
yeah, I
out of all
know.
that. This is
I
just a
know.
personal 8.5 out of 10.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I know there's better. Like
I
it
I definitely think that Magnificent Seven was a better Western than this one.
but I do get what people say. This one felt more grounded and realistic.
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven felt a little bit more
It felt
action.
very it felt not polished, but it had that like I don't know, it had like the movie True Grit encompasses True Grit in and of itself in terms of its themes and the way that the plot is and how people act and how they are very
Mhm.
nitty gritty. But Magnificent Seven, it still has that like action and grittiness of a western, but it also feels a little bit polished, like as if I don't want to like do a Chris Pratt like a thing, but like as if some of the characters are a little afraid to get kind of dirty and not like saying like, "Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
these
do that."
are beautiful actors. We don't want to mess them
Exactly.
up?
It is something like that, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That's why I feel like Magnificent Seven, if I had to choose between the two, I'll rewatch Magnificent Seven, but I think True Grit is better overall.
Yeah, yeah, I think that sums up my opinions perfectly. I mean, I think This feels almost like recommending you an anime because I feel like if you were to
Oh,
watch,
that's a whole nother level.
well, like it's just similar because I feel like if you were to watch a real anime, because like you've seen what One Punch,
Oh,
yeah, I feel
oh.
I feel like if you were to watch a real anime, you wouldn't like it. You've watched like some of the outliers, but are considered the best of the best, like One Punch Man, and you enjoyed that. But that's very different. The reason it's so like popular is because it's so unique. And like you've seen My Hero, but you don't really like it. And My Hero has a lot of typical anime tropes. And I feel like the same thing comes with when it applies to westerns. Like these two movies are great on their own, but they're very different. No, I don't want to say that. These movies are great and they're good westerns, but if you were to watch a real classic western, like where all of this love comes from, I have a feeling you wouldn't like it.
Oh, I get you. So we're not even in the deep end of westerns.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Wow. I'm at the normie level of westerns.
You have no idea, Bucko.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. You're right. I don't know if I could sit through a 3.5 hour western movie.
How long is The Searchers?
3.5 hours.
My mom jokingly said she would let me watch School of Rock if you watched The Searchers.
You're lying about that.
I'm not. I would not say it if it was a lie. The Searchers is 1 hour and 59 minutes. It's not,
Oh, that's not bad.
yeah, it's not that long. I thought it was like a 3 hour film.
Ah, I gotta watch another western.
But I think
But for School of Rock?
but she said it like because I had told her that you wanted to watch School of Rock, like you wanted me to watch it with her, and she was like, "I'll watch it if he watches The Searchers with us."
Oh, I gotta watch it with you guys?
Yeah,
So this is gonna have to wait.
exactly.
All right, I got time to think about it. Let me let me see some images and see if I could come around to it or not.
Don't look up too much because then you're gonna get down on yourself. Don't look up anything.
Yeah. Something's got to make it more fun because this is School of Rock. This is gonna be an awesome experience, and I gotta watch The Searchers.
Careful. This is the holy grail of westerns.
Made by a true Texan director.
This could potentially alienate you from the family.
Oh, Out of the Circle of Trust?
Oh yeah. This is a beloved movie of the family.
Beloved?
Beloved. Nobody like even like at Thanksgiving, nobody bad talks The Searchers.
They're not allowed.
They're not allowed.
I'm thinking about it. 2 hours. I think the School of Rock is an hour and a half
Don't think about it too hard.
of pure rock. Ah, man, it can't be another movie?
I don't make the rules.
All right, all right. Again, we got time to think about it. Yeah, let me think it over. See if it's worth it. But yeah, that's it for now, Caroline. Unless you wanted to add anything else.
That is it for me. I did like this idea a lot. I think like the week coming up, even yesterday when I was like, I wonder what we're gonna do. It's already
Uh-huh.
Friday night. And I don't know what we're doing tomorrow, but this was a good idea. I liked this.
Yeah, I liked it too. There's also a whole bunch of other ideas I have that I don't know if they'll make it or not.
Oh, good. I'm glad you have the ideas because you're gonna need to carry the weight for like the next 2 weeks. I'm almost done.
And then what happens after that?
I'm done with school. I can start putting a little more effort.
And then we could start binge watching the Dollyverse and
Exactly.
and
The Dollyverse,
the MCU,
the
and
MCU.
we'll watch some shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
That sounds great. I want to see Hawkeye.
I have half an episode left to watch. I left it right in the middle.
Well, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you're still listening here at the end of it all, and our talk about Jumanji and True Grit. Tony, would you like to have any parting words?
Yeah, I'll say I hope you guys had a good time listening. We had a good time talking about these movies. I hope we can recommend some more movies that we haven't seen and expand our horizon of movies. And yeah, more to come, right? After
More to
we
come.
after we start diving into some franchises and shows. It's gonna be really cool.
Very.
And I'm gonna mix it up some more. I got some ideas that might make it into these episodes.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure all your ideas will make it in at some point.
We'll see.
But anyway, I'm gonna say it again to set it in the middle. Remember, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast hosting app, to give us a follow. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, to give us a like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. If you want to suggest or recommend any movies, you can reach us at Instagram at Elbow Nudge, Twitter at
Have we
Elbow
gotten
Nudge.
a recommendation yet or no?
I've gotten a few.
Really? Well, I
Mhm.
know Carl gave us one.
I've gotten a few.
Which ones?
You want me to say them here on air?
You've gotten a few and you haven't told me of any of these?
I've been busy.
We were able to talk for all this time now? And
Well-
before this recording?
Well, I'll tell you more off.
Off air. All right. This is serious. Sorry guys, this is business talk.
This is business
You can't hear.
co-host talk.
All right, I'm curious. Let's wrap this up so I can hear these recommendations.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day and adios.